Chapter 28-27. Looking at the 3 balls of lightning fire, the 3 deacons froze. They understood what Ji Tianqing meant, and they also understood his actions. If they were in his shoes, they would be even more ruthless than Ji Tianqing. However, they were still somewhat fearful and worried. Deacon Shi was more decisive. He nodded and said, "Young Master Tianqing, I understand what you're doing and will obey your decision. This is because I believe that your character is definitely not like Sir God Gui Yuan. He. Are you trying to trick me? Or are you reminding me?" Ji Tianqing glanced at him and sneered. "I wouldn't dare." Deacon Shi quickly lowered his head and admitted his mistake. "Even if young Master Tianqing is like Sir God Gui Yuan, we will accept our fate. After all, we will be in deep trouble no matter who we follow. We are lucky to be alive. At least you know your place." Ji Tianqing snorted. He waved his hand and shot 3 balls of lightning fire into the bodies of the 3 deacons. The 3 deacons were very smart. They did not resist and allowed the lightning fire to enter their godheads. At this moment, Qi Huangji's mission was completed. He flew over excitedly and landed in front of Ji Tianqing. "Brother Tianqing, the battlefield has been cleaned up. We have collected a total of 40 godhead fragments and 41 interspatial rings." After saying that, he held a ball of golden light in his hands and handed it to Ji Tianqing. The ball of golden light contained many godhead fragments and interspatial rings. Ji Tianqing took the ball of golden light and instructed, "Let's go to the setting sun territorial waters and find an island to carry out the second step of the plan. Also, give some rewards to the guards to motivate them." Qi Huangji quickly nodded in agreement. "No problem. I will do it even if you don't tell me." Then, he pointed at the divine worship in the sky and asked, "What should we do with that divine worship?" Ji Tianqing said casually, "The divine worship is yours. You can take the guards with you." "Okay." Qi Huangji excitedly agreed. He hurriedly gave the guards a reward of 20,000 god stones each. The guards did not pay any price, they only acted out a show and earned 20,000 divine stone. They were all very excited. Then, Qi Huangji led his guards onto the divine worship. After studying it for a while, they started the divine ship and headed north. On the way to the setting sun ocean, the black dragon carried Ji Tianqing, the white dragon, Zhu Qingcheng, the vice president, and the 3 deacons, and flew across the sky. Zhu Qingcheng and the vice president were still unconscious. Ji Tianqing asked Deacon Lu to use his ultimate skill to treat their external injuries. They didn't look so miserable anymore. White Dragon was a little confused. He asked Ji Tianqing, "Master, the first step of our plan has been completed. These 2 guys have no more value. Why are we still keeping them?" "Of course, it still has some value. Let's keep it for a while." Ji Tianqing dropped this sentence and sat on the dragon's head to do his own things. He kept the 40 quintessence fragments in his spatial ring, saving them for later consumption. He was inspecting the 41 spatial rings. Each spatial ring was filled with god stones, divine-level materials, and various other resources. But it was a pity that these experts from the Origin Returning Association were each poorer than the other. There were less than 30,000 god stones in each spatial ring. All the materials and resources added up to less than 200,000 god stones. In comparison, the guards of the Qi family were richer than them. When Ji Tianqing placed all the spoils of war into a spatial ring, he couldn't help but look disappointed. "Fortunately, we seized a divine worship. Otherwise, this battle would have been a loss." After all, the total value of these spoils of war was only about 5 million god stones. Qi Huangji gave the guards a total of 2,400,000 god stones as a reward. He now believed that Deacon Shi was telling the truth. These elites of the Guiyuan Association had all been drained of blood by Divine Lord Guiyuan. Ji Tianqing threw the 5 million cultivation resources into his interspatial ring and no longer paid any attention to it. Setting sun ocean. 20,000 miles away from the coastline, there was an island with a radius of more than 300 miles. The island was not big, and it was surrounded by black reefs. There was a small mountain that was 3,000 feet tall on the island, surrounded by valleys and forests. There weren't many demon beasts on the island, and they were very weak. All in all, this was an ordinary island that wouldn't attract much attention. Ji Tianqing chose this island to be the burial place of the elites of the Guiyuan Association. The black dragon landed on the island and released a powerful divine dragon aura. As a result, the demonic beasts living on the island were all frightened and fled in panic. After a while, the island quieted down. Under Ji Tianqing's orders, the 3 deacons took out their communication jade slips and sent messages to the people of the Guiyuan Association. Mr. President, after we arrived at Sand Moon Mountain, we successfully received the Vice President and Deacon Zhu. Although the Vice President and Deacon Zhu caught the ascender, they were severely injured. However, both of them were seriously injured, and their subordinates had all died in battle. After we left Sand Moon Mountain, we were surrounded by a large group of Qi family guards and suffered heavy casualties. Mr. President, in order to save the ascender, the Qi family sent more than 200 guards to kill us at all costs. A few of our deacons were injured, and more than half of the 40 brothers we brought were killed. Please send reinforcements. We have temporarily escaped the pursuit of the Qi family guards and are hiding on a nameless island 20,000 miles away from the coast. Please send reinforcements as soon as possible, Mr. President. The contents of the messages were similar. They were all asking for help from the Guiyuan Association and requesting reinforcements. Obviously, Ji Tianqing's plan was the same as the first one. It was still asking for help from the Guiyuan Association and attracting more elites to kill the ascender. The difference was that the first time they asked for help, they used the Vice President and Zhu Qingqing's names. This time, it was the 3 deacons who had personally sent the message for help. After the 3 deacons sent the message, they sat on the back of the black dragon obediently and didn't dare to say anything. Bai Long hesitated and asked Ji Tianqing worriedly, Master, we have used this method once. Will the Guiyuan Association fall for it again? Ji Tianqing nodded and explained, about 80%. Sir God Guiyuan is not an idiot, but he is a little suspicious. 2 batches of people have been taken advantage of, so he will definitely be suspicious. But after thinking about it, he will definitely send reinforcements. After all, he is determined to get the heavenly Tao opportunity. Even if he has to sacrifice half of the Guiyuan Association, he is willing. Bai Long thought for a while and asked, since Sir God Guiyuan is determined to get the heavenly Tao opportunity, will he come personally? It is possible, but the probability is not high. Ji Tianqing shook his head and said, after all, the Guiyuan Association has already caught me and escaped to the Sea-Sun Sea region. They have escaped the pursuit of the Qi family and are hiding on this nameless island. Their situation is still considered safe. If Sir God Guiyuan were to come personally, wouldn't it be a loss of dignity and damage the president's dignity? Bai Long nodded and smiled, Master is brilliant. You have seen through Sir God Guiyuan's thoughts. End of chapter. Chapter 28. Although the second step of Ji Tianqing's plan seemed flawless, he was only 80% confident. After all, he could only guess and analyze Sir God Guiyuan's mentality, but he couldn't be sure. If Sir God Guiyuan lost his mind and came to receive them personally, it would be troublesome. Hence, Ji Tianqing had to be well prepared. Even if Sir God Guiyuan came, he couldn't be at a disadvantage in a head-on battle. Bai Long, we have about half a day's time. We have to set up the formation quickly. Ji Tianqing took out a pile of divine weapons, divine talismans and divine stones from his space ring and prepared to set up the formation. Bai Long asked curiously, Master, what formation are you going to set up this time? Ji Tianqing thought for a while and lowered his voice. Of the two divine formations that I set up in Sand Moon Mountain, only the sealing divine formation can be used. The monarch-level killing formation might not be powerful enough to deal with Sir God Gui Yuan. Hence, I plan to set up a Heaven Punishment Sword formation. Heaven Punishment Sword formation? Bai Long looked confused. When did you master such a sword formation? Why haven't I heard of it before? Ji Tianqing knocked his head and chuckled. Nonsense, this is a sword formation that I have just comprehended. Heaven Punishment Sword formation was born from the Heaven Punishment formation map in Kenshin's tomb. It was the vast and mysterious formation that was hidden in the chaotic fog. Back in the mortal world, Ji Tianqing had tried to comprehend the divine formation. However, his power was weak back then and he could only comprehend a little bit. Now that he had reached Heaven God Realm 8th level, he had a deeper understanding of the Heaven Punishment formation map. Combined with his sword principle divine powers, he comprehended the Heaven Punishment Sword formation. According to his estimation, the Heaven Punishment Sword formation's grade and power could only be considered as a lower monarch-level divine formation. However, the Heaven Punishment Sword formation was profound. It had 50 million formation veins and could derive 200 million changes. Its complexity was comparable to a middle monarch-level divine formation. It should be enough to deal with Sir God Gui Yuan. Then, Ji Tianqing and Bai Long started to set up the divine formation. The master and disciple spent 300,000 immortal stones and a dozen talismans to set up a sealing divine formation that enveloped the entire island. 4 hours later, the monarch-grade sealing divine array was completed. The two of them then used more than 40 divine weapons, 2 million divine stones, and many divine-level materials to set up the heaven-destroying sword formation. The heaven-destroying sword formation was too complicated. Even if the master and disciple duo were powerful, they would still need 3 to 5 days to set it up. Obviously, there was not enough time. Fortunately, Qi Huanji arrived on the island with 120 guards on the divine ship. Everyone followed Ji Tianqing's instructions and worked together to set up the sword formation. In this way, the efficiency of setting up the formation was increased by 20 times. After a short 8 hours, the heaven-destroying sword formation was successfully set up. 12 hours had passed, and it was already late at night. Therefore, White Dragon, Qi Huanji, and the 120 guards dived into the sea around the island and hid. Ji Tianqing, the vice president, Zhu Qingcheng, and the 3 deacons stayed on the island. They hid in a cave and set up a simple heavenly deity formation. Ji Tianqing continued to pretend to be dead. He lay motionless in the cave, covered in blood. Zhu Qingcheng and the vice president were still the same. They sat motionless in the cave, meditating. Deacon Shi and the other 2 guarded the entrance of the cave and looked around cautiously. No matter how one looked at it, there was no flaw in this act. Everything was ready. All that was left was to wait patiently. As long as the fish took the bait, they could reel in the net. In the setting sun sea region, 50,000 miles away from the coastline, a divine ship was speeding southward. This divine ship was 20,000 feet long and looked like a golden dragon. It was lifelike and holy. There was no emblem or mark of any faction on the divine ship. After all, this was the rule of the Gui Yuan Association. In order not to expose their identities and backgrounds inside the divine ship. A burly man in a golden robe with a pair of golden wings was sitting in a secret room with his eyes closed. He had a dignified appearance with thick eyebrows and big eyes. He exuded a domineering aura. He was the founder of the Gui Yuan Association, Sir God Gui Yuan. This time, he actually came personally. Other than Sir God Gui Yuan, there were 50 God clan experts with different appearances in the divine ship. Their strength was between the 2nd and 5th level of the Heaven God realm. Previously, the Gui Yuan Association had sent out 2 batches of experts. There were a total of 60 people, but they were all killed by the Qi clan guards. Now, there were more than 100 people left on the hidden Dragon Island. They were all true God Realm weaklings. Hence, these 50 experts were the final backbone of the Guiyuan Association. Originally, Sir God Guiyuan didn't plan to come and didn't want to send so many people. However, the opportunity of the Heavenly Way was fatally attractive to him. He spent thousands of years to build the Guiyuan Association so that he could quickly increase his strength and take revenge on the Bloodfire Divine Kingdom. It was a pity that the results were minimal. The 200 people in the Guiyuan Association couldn't provide much help to him. The opportunity of the Heavenly Way was the biggest opportunity. For tens of thousands of years, there were a few lucky people who obtained the opportunity of the boundless heaven continent. For example, Divine King Jioluo, whose name shook the continent, obtained the opportunity of the Heavenly Way and became a peak Divine King. Not only did he restore the glory of the Jioluo tribe, but he also severely damaged the Great Yan Empire and almost split it into pieces. Sir God Guiyuan always remembered the legend of Divine King Jioluo. He longed to obtain the opportunity of the Heavenly Way one day and take revenge willfully like Divine King Jioluo. Until 20 days ago. Zhu Qingqing was overseeing Blue Mountain City's ascension pool. She accidentally discovered an ascender who was extremely powerful. Not only did he kill 5 Thunder Pool guards, but he also killed the commander of the Thunder Pool guards, Lin Wuji. When Zhu Qingqing reported this news to Sir God Guiyuan, he immediately thought of a possibility. Opportunity of the Heavenly Way. Only the opportunity of the Heavenly Way could allow the Ascender to be so powerful when he just entered the divine world. At that moment, Sir God Guiyuan was extremely excited. He was so excited that his blood was boiling. He was very sure that the opportunity that belonged to him had come. The heavens were looking after him. He had to obtain the opportunity of the Heavenly Way no matter what. Only this opportunity could help him quickly become stronger and take revenge on the Bloodfire Divine Kingdom. Hence, Sir God Guiyuan tried all means to kill Ji Tianqing. Even if the first 2 groups failed and suffered heavy losses. However, the fact that the Vice President had captured that Ascender was a great piece of news. Not long ago, Deacon Shi and the other 2 sent a message, requesting Sir God Guiyuan to send someone to receive them. After Sir God Guiyuan received the news, he was suspicious and apprehensive. But after weighing the pros and cons, he still decided to send someone to receive them. In order to prevent any changes and ensure that nothing went wrong, he even came to receive them personally. As long as he could obtain the opportunity of the Heavenly Way, he would pay any price. At that moment, a purple-robed, single-horned elder walked quickly to the door of the secret room. Sir President, we are about to reach the Nameless Island. End of chapter. Chapter 28-29. The purple-robed elder was from the Golden Rhino God clan. His body was sturdy, his face was huge, and there was a golden horn on his forehead. His surname was Jin, and he was the last deacon of the Guiyuan Association. After a while, the door of the secret room opened. Dressed in a golden robe, Sir God Guiyuan walked out. Deacon Jin quickly went forward and advised in a low voice, "Sir President, the Qi family is just a merchant family in Green Mountain City. How could they be so powerful that they not only killed more than 60 of our experts, but also injured the Vice President? I feel that there's something fishy about this. We have to be careful of any traps." Sir God Guiyuan nodded and said expressionlessly, "Of course, I know that there's something fishy about this. Deacon Shi and the others might have been captured. They already have resentment in their hearts and are not loyal to me. It's also possible that they've surrendered and pledged their loyalty to the Qi family." Deacon Jin was stunned and asked, "Sir President, since you've guessed that there's something fishy about this island, why do you still want to go?" Sir God Guiyuan glanced at him and said in a low voice, "Why not? I've been waiting and plotting for nearly 1,000 years to find the Heavenly Tao opportunity. Now that the Heavenly Tao opportunity has appeared, how can I let it go? Even if the Qi family has set an ambush on that island, what's there to be afraid of? With the Qi family's power, even if Qi Tianlong comes personally, he's not my match. His words were very confident and his tone was very domineering. Deacon Jean frowned and hesitated for a moment before asking, "What's your plan?" "We'll go to the island directly, kill the Qi family, and kidnap that ascender." Sir God Gui Yuan sneered, "Although I'm confident, I'm not stupid. Why would I step into a trap?" After a pause, he ordered, "When we arrive at that sea area, bring people to the island first and check if there's a trap. I'll hide in the dark and observe. If you're attacked, I'll save you. If we're overthinking and everything goes smoothly, I won't have to show up." Deacon Jean thought for a moment and quickly nodded, "That's good. If it's a false alarm, you won't have to show up to avoid affecting your prestige." While they were talking, the divine ship flew for tens of thousands of miles. It didn't take long for the divine warship to reach the sea. 10,000 miles away from the nameless island, Sir God Gui Yuan quietly left the divine ship and hid in the clouds high in the sky. He silently approached the small island and secretly observed the situation. Manager Jean and the 50 experts boarded the divine ship and flew straight to the nameless island. Shwa! A dazzling golden light pierced through the dark night, illuminating the nameless island. The dragon-shaped divine warship stopped right above the island, 1,000 feet above the mountain peak. Ka 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 ka, the door to the divine ship opened. Manager Jean flew out alone and stood in the night sky, looking down below. The 50 Gui Yuan Association experts all gripped their weapons, ready to charge out and fight at any moment. "Deacon Shi, where are you?" Manager Jean shouted loudly at the island below him. After a while, 3 figures flew out of a cave on the island. They were the 3 deacons. They cautiously scanned their surroundings and only looked up at the night sky after making sure that there was no ambush. Seeing Manager Jean and the divine warship, the 3 of them looked as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. "That's great. Manager Jean, you are finally here. We have been hiding here for most of the night, and you are finally here." "Oh right, Manager Jean, when you came, did the Qi family guards notice you?" Even though the divine warship had entered the island and the fish had already taken the bait, the 3 deacons still did not forget to act. Moreover, their acting was very realistic. When Manager Jean saw the 3's reaction, he sneered in his heart. However, he didn't show any signs of abnormality. Instead, he replied enthusiastically, "Deacons, in order to complete the mission, you have taken on such a dangerous task. You have worked hard and contributed greatly. Don't worry, we have already checked the surroundings before coming and did not find any traces of the Qi family guards. This place is safe. Quickly bring your men here, and we will return as soon as possible." The 3 deacons looked at each other and felt that something was amiss. Manager Shi secretly sent a voice transmission to the other 2. "Something is not right." Manager Jean clearly brought helpers here, but he did not let them show themselves. He must have become suspicious and is putting on an act with us. The other 2 exchanged looks, indicating that they understood. Manager Shi looked up at the night sky and said to Manager Jean, "Manager Jean, we are all injured and cannot move freely. Especially the Vice President and Manager Zhu. Their injuries are the most serious and they have been unconscious for a long time. Don't waste any more time, quickly send someone to help. Also, that ascendant has been knocked out by us. We have been watching over him." Deacon Jin's eyes gleamed when he heard the words ascender. Even though he had guessed that there was an ambush here, his mission was to take Ji Tianqing away. Therefore, he was hesitant. After weighing the pros and cons in silence, he said, "Manager Shi, even though you are injured, it should not be a problem to carry a few people. Don't waste any more time, quickly bring them out." Manager Shi hesitated for a moment and thought to himself, "This won't do. The mission that young Master Tianqing gave us was to lure them to the island. Now that they are suspicious and do not show themselves in the divine warship, they could escape at any time. Moreover, I have to ask if Sir God Gue Yuan is here. Thinking of this, Manager Shi asked loudly, Manager Jean, why are you the only one here to receive us? Where is Sir President? Is he here? Manager Jean sneered in his heart but did not show any flaws on his face. He shook his head and said, Sir President is busy cultivating in seclusion, how could he come to receive us personally? What are you still waiting for? Quickly bring them out. Manager Shi was even more hesitant. At this moment, Ji Tianqing's divine sense voice transmission suddenly sounded in his mind. Manager Shi, do as he says and send us to the divine worship. After receiving Ji Tianqing's order, Manager Shi did not hesitate anymore and shouted to Manager Jean, okay. Wait for a moment, Manager Jean, I will bring them out now. Then, the three managers returned to the cave. Manager Shi carried Ji Tianqing while the other two carried Zhu Qingqing and the vice president. They flew towards the divine worship in the night sky. At first glance, Ji Tianqing, the vice president, and Zhu Qingqing's injuries were very severe and they were unconscious. Seeing this, Manager Jean narrowed his eyes and stared at Ji Tianqing, carefully observing him. Of course, he could not see through Ji Tianqing's background and could not detect Ji Tianqing's strength. However, he instinctively felt that something was not right, so he stopped Manager Shi. Manager Shi, I want to check this ascender. As he spoke, he took out a treasured sword and slashed towards Ji Tianqing. Manager Shi was shocked and subconsciously dodged to the side. However, this action made Manager Jin's expression change and he sneered. Obviously, Manager Shi was exposed. End of chapter. Chapter 28-30. He. Deacon Shi, what do you mean by this? Deacon Jean sneered at Deacon Shi and asked, not only are you hugging this kid, but you are also afraid that I will hurt him. What? Have you betrayed the Gue Yuan Association and joined him? Deacon Shi reacted quickly and immediately thought of a countermeasure. He angrily scolded, Deacon Jean. What nonsense are you talking about? Are you out of your mind? Don't forget, this kid has a special identity and has a lot of opportunities. The president is determined to get him. We are working for the president, and we can't make any mistakes. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Deacon Shi's acting was very good, and Ji Tianqing couldn't help but praise him. Deacon Jin's probing failed, and he was stunned for a moment. He couldn't tell if it was real or fake. However, he didn't want to cause any trouble, so he cupped his hands and smiled apologetically. Deacon Shi, please calm down. I was just joking. Nonsense. Deacon Shi angrily scolded and flew into the divine ship with Ji Tianqing in his arms. Immediately after, the other two deacons also brought the vice president and Zhu Qingqing into the divine ship. From the beginning to the end, everything seemed to be going smoothly, and there was nothing strange around the island. Deacon Jean frowned in confusion and muttered to himself, how can it be so smooth? Did the president and I think too much? Forget it. Let's not care about this. As long as we can catch that ascender, we will have succeeded. After saying that, he also entered the divine ship. After a few breaths, the divine ship turned around and left the island, flying towards the north. After Deacon Shi and the other two entered the divine ship, they sat in a secret room and waited quietly. They didn't show it on their faces, but they were actually very nervous. Deacon Shi found an opportunity to ask Ji Tianqing, young master, didn't you set up a large array on the island? How can we leave the island? Are you planning to use this divine ship to sneak into the hidden dragon island? Ji Tianqing still pretended to be dead, and secretly transmitted, calm down, don't panic, and don't reveal any flaws. This Deacon Jean is suspicious, and I suspect that Sir God Gue Yuan is also here, but he is hiding in the dark to observe. So, we have to find a suitable opportunity to act. Deacon Shi was even more puzzled and asked worriedly, Monarch God Gue Yuan came personally. If that's the case, then we can't leave the island. Without the help of the array, we will all be killed by Sir God Gui Yuan. I know what I'm doing, Ji Tianqing replied calmly. Deacon Shi was helpless and could only secretly signal the other two deacons to calm down and not panic. Soon, the divine ship had flown 8,000 miles away from the nameless island. Inside the divine warship, Manager Jean and the 50 experts gradually let down their guard. The process went very smoothly. Everyone was secretly blaming themselves. It seemed like they had wrongly blamed Deacon Shi and the other two. Right at this moment, a golden-robed figure suddenly appeared in the sky above the nameless island. He was Sir God Gui Yuan, who was hiding and observing in secret. Just now, he used his secret skill to detect that there were more than 20 heavenly god experts hiding at the bottom of the sea to the east of the island. He immediately realized that those people must be the Qi family's guards. He. I was right. Deacon Shi and the other two have betrayed us. They actually cooperated with the Qi family to set up an ambush on this island. Sir God Gui Yuan sneered with a hideous expression, so what? Your acting is too realistic and you have trapped yourselves in it. Now that the divine ship is far away from the island, let's see how you will deal with this. Then, he slowly raised his palms and activated his mighty divine power to strike at the sea to the east of the island. Bam bam. Two mountain-sized golden palms pierced through the night sky like a scorching sun and hit the blue sea. In the deafening loud noise, a huge abyss was formed in the sea to the east of the island. The sea water in this area was completely emptied. A small part of the sea water turned into huge waves and rushed into the night sky, while most of the sea water evaporated. The destructive impact hit the seabed that was full of sand and reefs, creating two deep pits and splashing sand everywhere. The seabed was blasted into pieces and a few thousand miles long gullies were formed. 16 of the 22 Qi family guards who were hiding at the bottom of the sea were killed on the spot. 6 other guards were severely injured and fell into the sea with blood all over their bodies. They struggled violently. Such an earth-shattering commotion caused huge waves to rise within 1,000 miles of the sea. The nameless island also shook violently and countless huge rocks rolled down from the mountain. Ha ha ha. Ants from the Qi family, go and die. Sir God Gui Yuan laughed and his face was filled with disdain. Naturally, the divine ship that was thousands of miles away from the island also felt the power of Sir God Gui Yuan. Ji Tianqing, Deacon Shi, and the rest changed their expressions immediately. Manager Jean also revealed a startled expression as he thought to himself, is the president crazy? Didn't everything go smoothly? Why did he expose his whereabouts? Did the president discover that there was an ambush on the island? Thinking of this, he turned his head and looked at the secret chamber that was 10 feet away. At this moment, the door of the secret chamber that had been tightly shut was already open. A dazzling golden light shot out like a bolt of lightning. Oh no! There is indeed a trap. Deacon Jin's expression changed. He did not expect this. However, it was too late to say anything now. Bam! Manager Jean was sliced in half by a pitch-black divine sword with a dull thud. The two halves of his body fell in the hall with blood splattering everywhere. Even his godhead had been shattered by the divine sword. Deacon Jean, who was a level 8 heaven god, died on the spot. Before he died, the last thing he saw was a mysterious black sword and a valiant face. Isn't he the Ascender? Wasn't he severely injured and unconscious? So, all of this was fake. This was the last thought in Deacon Jin's mind before he died. The next moment, Ji Tianqing swung the burial of heaven sword and turned into a golden whirlwind, pouncing on the experts of the Gui Yuan Association in the hall. Deacon Shi also rushed into the hall without any regard for her own safety. She waved her palm and used her unique skill to release a raging green poisonous fog. In the blink of an eye, the dark green poisonous fog filled the entire hall and shrouded the 50 experts. These experts were corroded by the poisonous fog and immediately went limp all over. Blood flowed out of their orifices, and their divine powers became chaotic. Whoosh! 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 Hundreds of dazzling golden sword lights bloomed in the hall and swept across like a tornado. Wherever they went, flesh and blood splattered, and bones flew everywhere. In just a few seconds, more than 40 experts of the Gue Yuan Association were killed by Ji Tianqing on the spot. The few experts who were lucky enough to survive were also severely injured. They ran out of the hall in panic, trying to escape from the divine ship. The other two deacons were already prepared. They carried Zhu Qingcheng and the vice president with one hand and used their unique skills with the other to attack. Bam! 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 After a series of muffled sounds, those experts were also beheaded and died on the spot. End of chapter. Chapter 28-31. Sir God Gue Yuan stood in the sky above the sea. He looked down at the sea and was using his special skill to investigate the seabed within a radius of a few thousand miles. He believed that the guards sent by the Qi family were definitely more than the 20 over people. There must be many more guards hiding around the island. He wanted to find all the guards and kill them all. But at this moment, in the night sky 10,000 miles away in the north, there was a thunderous sound. Kaboom! Sir God Gue Yuan frowned and instinctively turned to look. Then, he saw it with his own eyes. A dazzling golden sword light that was 10,000 feet long bloomed from the inside of the divine battleship and cut it in half. The golden light soared into the sky and illuminated the night sky. The divine battleship was destroyed and hundreds of millions of pieces splattered out. The wreckage of the divine warship burst into blazing divine flames and fell from the sky, crashing into the ocean with a loud thud. Bastard! Sir God Gue Yuan was instantly enraged and killing intent surged out from his body. After all, the dragon-shaped divine battleship was his ship. It was also the most precious divine battleship in the Gue Yuan Association and was worth hundreds of millions of divine stones. The Gue Yuan Association had always been poor and Sir God Gue Yuan was very stingy. So, when the divine battleship was destroyed, his heart ached. Damned beast, I will tear you to shreds and grind your bones to dust. As he roared, Sir God Gue Yuan did not bother to search for the Qi family guards and rushed to the sea in the north. Swoosh! Swoosh swoosh! He teleported 4 times in the night sky and arrived at the place where the divine battleship had fallen. It only took him 4 breaths of time. Such terrifying speed surpassed most middle-level Sir Gods. It showed that he was very powerful. Experts who had reached the Sir God realm were divided into 3 levels, upper, middle and lower. Sir Gods from the 1st to the 3rd level were called lower Sir Gods. Sir Gods from the 4th to the 6th level were called middle Sir Gods. Sir Gods from the 7th to the 9th level were naturally upper Sir Gods. Above them, there were peak Sir Gods. Of course, this was common knowledge in the realm of the gods. Ji Tianqing already knew this, so there was no need to elaborate. The flames in the sky dissipated and the night sky returned to darkness. Ji Tianqing, dressed in a white robe and holding the sword of burial of heaven, stood proudly above the sea. The 3 deacons stood behind him and looked at Sir God Gue Yuan with a complicated gaze. Deacon Shi's eyes were gloomy, and his face was expressionless. He held a dark green divine hook in each hand. The other 2 deacons held Zhu Qingcheng and the vice president in one hand and held their divine swords in the other. They looked at Sir God Gue Yuan cautiously. Seeing such a scene, Sir God Gue Yuan was so angry that he laughed and sneered, "He he he. Very good. You actually joined forces to put on a show to ambush me?" The 2 deacons avoided his gaze, not daring to look him in the eye. Deacon Shi was fearless. He roared in a low voice, "Sir God Gue Yuan, you guessed right. We did betray you. But have you ever wondered why we betrayed you? We thought of ourselves as the elites of the Gue Yuan Association and considered ourselves to be your confidants and right-hand men. But what about you? What do you take us for? A pet? Or a slave whose blood you sucked? Sir God Gue Yuan was stunned for a while, then he raised his head and laughed. Ha ha ha. Ungrateful be ****. If I didn't save you, you would have been killed. How could you have survived until now? If I didn't ask you to join the Gue Yuan Association and protect you, you would all be hiding in hiding. All of you are still in hiding, and some of you are even dead. What qualifications do you have to criticize me? Deacon, she said in a low voice, that's right. You saved our lives. But you wanted to make use of us from the very beginning. Plus, we have been loyal to you for so many years. We worked hard without complaint. We have already repaid your kindness. Bulsh ***T. Sir God Gue Yuan roared angrily and roared, I saved you. Your lives are mine. Deacon, she wanted to refute. Then, Ji Tianqing waved his hand to stop him. He sneered at Sir God Gue Yuan and said, is there any meaning or need to argue about betrayal? Sir God Gue Yuan nodded slightly and sneered mockingly, yes. There is no need. After all, the four of you are already dead. Sir God Gue Yuan pointed at the three deacons and sneered, I won't kill you easily. I will skin you alive and cut you into pieces. Plus, I will bring you back to the Hidden Dragon Island and execute you in front of everyone. This monarch wants everyone to see the consequences of betraying this monarch. Then, he pointed at Ji Tianqing and sneered, kid, as an ascender who just ascended to the realm of gods, it's unbelievable that you are so powerful. But the more powerful you are, the happier I am. Because it means that the opportunity of heaven way that you have obtained is powerful enough. This is heaven's will. This is heaven's gift to me. Ha ha ha. Sir God Gue Yuan laughed complacently. He looked at Ji Tianqing with passion and greed. Ji Tianqing looked at him expressionlessly. After he finished laughing, he shook his head and sighed with pity, so pitiful. Sir God Gue Yuan's smile disappeared and he asked, what did you say? Ji Tianqing spread his hands and said indifferently, I am laughing at you for not knowing that you are about to die. You are so stupid that you are pitiful. Sir God Gue Yuan's eyes turned colder and he sneered, ha ha ha. Little bastard, do you think you can provoke me with such a clumsy method? Aren't you good at scheming? Using one scheme after another to deal with me. First, you plotted against the vice president and Zhu Qingcheng and used their names to ask for help. Second, you killed the 40 experts that Deacon Shi brought and captured 3 of them. Now, you have set up a large number of ambushes on that nameless island, waiting for Manager Jean to bring his men to walk into the trap. But you didn't expect me to see through your scheme and come here personally. Speaking of this, Sir God Gue Yuan sneered with disdain, now, I am alone. I am not on the island, nor am I in your ambush. The 4 of you are about to be killed by me. What other schemes do you have? Let me tell you, in the face of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks are futile. Hearing these words, Deacon Shi and the other 2 became anxious and worried. After all, they didn't dare to fight with Sir God Gue Yuan. That would be courting death. Ji Tianqing also showed a confident smile and said slowly, hee, you think you've seen through my scheme, so you're fearless and complacent. But have you ever thought about it? I had long guessed that you would personally come to receive me, and that you would hide in the dark and not show yourself. So, I changed my plans slightly and lured you out. Until now, everything is going according to my plan. What? Sir God Gue Yuan instantly creased his eyebrows and there was a flash of vigilance in his eyes. Chapter 28-32. That's right. Ji Tianqing had already guessed that Sir God Gue Yuan would come personally. Hence, He did not set up a normal monarch-level divine array but set up the heaven punishment sword array. It was specially prepared for Sir God Gui Yuan. Qi Huanji and 120 Qi family guards were hiding at the bottom of the sea around the island. Ji Tianqing knew that if Sir God Gui Yuan came, he would definitely discover them. Hence, when he noticed Manager Jin's abnormality, he guessed that Sir God Gui Yuan had come. He changed his initial plan and did not activate the Heaven Punishment Sword Array to kill Manager Jin and the Divine Worship. Instead, he let Manager Shi bring him into the Divine Worship. This process was very smooth for the Gui Yuan Association and there were no setbacks. Then, Manager Jin would let down his guard. Sir God Gui Yuan, who was hiding in the dark, would kill the Qi family guards and expose his whereabouts. Everything was within Ji Tianqing's expectations and control. Sir God Gui Yuan understood what he meant and sneered, "Ha ha ha, when you said that everything was within your control, you wanted to lure me out. Now that I am here, what can you do? Without traps and ambushes, you can't even touch my clothes. Even with the help of the divine array, you can forget about hurting me. This is the difference in power, do you understand?" Sir God Gui Yuan's face was full of pride and he was fearless. Ji Tianqing nodded slightly and said with a smile, "Yes, what you said makes sense. We really can't kill you." However, before he could finish his sentence, he brandished the Heaven Burier sword and pierced it with a cold starlight, aiming at the glabella of Divine Lord Gui Yuan. At the same time, Manager Shi and the other two brought the Vice President and Zhu Qingqing to the Nameless Island without hesitation. Sir God Gui Yuan only had two choices. One was to let the three managers escape to the island while he resolved Ji Tianqing's attack. Two was to kill the three managers and save the Vice President and Zhu Qingqing. In that case, he would have to face Ji Tianqing's attack. Sir God Gui Yuan's choice was to ignore the three deacons and punch Ji Tianqing. After all, he was extremely selfish and did not care about the life and death of the Vice President and Zhu Qingqing. No matter what, he had to kill Ji Tianqing first and seize the heavenly Dao opportunity. Then, he would deal with the three deacons. His decision was exactly what Ji Tianqing had expected. Boom! Amidst a deafening, muffled boom, two golden fist lights struck Ji Tianqing head-on, sending him flying hundreds of miles away. His face was distorted and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Two of the bones in his chest were broken. Sir God Gui Yuan's power was indeed much stronger than he had expected. Almost at the same time, a cold gleam pierced Sir God Gui Yuan and bloomed in his chest. Boom! With a muffled sound, the cold light suddenly exploded, turning into a mushroom cloud with a radius of 10,000 feet, rising into the sky. If it was a heavenly god expert, his chest and stomach would have been blown apart on the spot. However, Sir God Gui Yuan's defense was strong. Only his golden robe was torn and a fist-sized hole appeared. The skin on his chest and stomach was dark gold in color, as tough as top-notch divine gold. Ji Tianqing's attack only left a dent on his chest and stomach, breaking his skin and causing him to bleed a few drops of divine blood. It was not even considered a light injury. At most, it was a superficial wound. He. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. You overestimate yourself. Sir God Gui Yuan sneered disdainfully. He flapped his golden wings and instantly flew hundreds of miles away, continuing to punch Ji Tianqing. At that moment, Ji Tianqing secretly heaved a sigh of relief. I used 80% of my power and cast my sword Dao divine power. Only then did I manage to break his defense and bleed him. That's great. At least I have a chance to kill him. Just as this thought flashed through his mind, Sir God Gui Yuan pounced over again. This time, Sir God Gui Yuan used 7 types of nomological powers and struck out 2 5-colored fist lights. The power doubled. If Ji Tianqing were to be hit, he would be severely injured on the spot. However, he did not think of taking it head-on. Without hesitation, he used the space law and teleported 1,000 miles to the south. Swoosh! The two five-colored fist radiances missed their target. Ji Tianqing burst forth with his fastest speed, rushing towards the nameless island without caring about anything else. Sir God Gue Yuan immediately reacted and chased after him with a hideous smile. Little B****, you want to escape from my hands? Dream on. He flapped his golden wings and his body turned into a blurry shadow that flickered in the sky. In just 2 breaths' time, he chased after Ji Tianqing for more than 6,000 miles and stopped him. Kid, die. Sir God Gue Yuan roared and suddenly lifted his right leg to kick at Ji Tianqing. Swoosh! A crescent-shaped 5-colored divine light slashed at Ji Tianqing like a scimitar that was 10,000 feet long. At the same time, Sir God Gue Yuan used the space law to seal the space within a radius of 10,000 miles. It was impossible for Ji Tianqing to teleport to dodge. At the critical moment, he could only activate his most violent divine power and slash at Sir God Gue Yuan's sword with both hands. Sky-splitting sword. The huge 5-colored sword that was 10,000 feet long slashed at the 5-colored scimitar light and there was an earth-shattering bang. Kaboom! The huge sword and scimitar collapsed at the same time and there were billions of divine light fragments that scattered in the night sky. The area within a radius of 10,000 miles was illuminated and the sea region within a few thousand miles was swept by the impact, creating huge waves that were 1,000 feet long. PFFF, Ji Tianqing was sent flying by the violent divine power. He spat out a mouthful of blood and flew 100 miles away. Of course, he had adjusted his direction when he attacked. Even though he was sent flying, he flew to the south and was closer to the nameless island. After reducing the impact, he continued to speed up and rushed to the nameless island. Sir God Gue Yuan smirked and caught up with him quickly. He launched a fierce attack. Bam! Both of them exchanged blows and there was an earth-shattering bang. Ji Tianqing was sent flying 100 miles away again. His injuries were getting worse and his face was ghastly pale. Seeing that his injuries were getting worse and his aura was getting weaker and weaker, Sir God Gue Yuan laughed out loud and was filled with murderous intent. Kaboom! When Ji Tianqing was sent flying for the 5th time, he finally returned to the nameless island. At this moment, his chest and abdomen were caved in. Dozens of his bones were broken and his left arm was shattered. His power was greatly weakened and his face was as pale as paper. He was drenched in cold sweat. However, he stood on the mountain peak in the middle of the island and revealed a relieved expression. He looked at Sir God Gue Yuan who was 100 miles away and sneered, "He he he. A Sir God expert is just as so. I have finally escaped. What can you do to me?" Sir God Gue Yuan stood on the sea surface and stared at him with a gloomy look. Another 20 miles and he would step onto the nameless island and enter the ambush. Sir God Gue Yuan was hesitating. Should he enter the island? At this moment, Ji Tianqing was sitting cross-legged on a huge rock on the mountain peak and was circulating his power to heal his injuries. It was obvious that his injuries were very serious and he couldn't hold on any longer. What was worse was, as he was circulating his power to heal his injuries, he sneered at Sir God Gue Yuan, "I have set up an array on this island and it can be called an inescapable net. If you dare to take half a step onto the island, I will make you wish you were dead." Sir God Gue Yuan's eyes lit up and he sneered, "Ha ha ha. You are already at the end of your rope and your life is at stake. Yet, you still dare to bluff and threaten me. You don't know that the more you act like this, the more it proves the fear in your heart." Baidu Search 81 Chinese website. No advertising message. Chapter 28-33. If Ji Tianqing didn't say anything and didn't do anything, Lord Origin Master Gue would still hesitate. Then, Sir God Gue Yuan would still hesitate and consider for a while. But his injuries were too serious and he couldn't hold on any longer. He had to heal his injuries. Plus, he even threatened Lord Origin Master Guo. Then, he revealed his weakness. Lord Origin Master Guo was sure that he was going to die soon. Plus, how powerful could a divine array set up by a heaven god expert? There was nothing to be afraid of. He. Kid, give up resisting. Kneel down and accept your death. Sir God Guo Yuan sneered ferociously. He stepped across the night sky and entered the island. Ji Tianqing was still sitting on the giant rock at the peak of the mountain. He frowned and roared, "Lord Origin Master Guo, you are courting death." The three deacons stood behind him and roared in panic, "Lord Origin Master Guo, do you want to die? Don't come any closer. Otherwise, we will activate the divine array. Lord Origin Master Guo, we will fight with you." The three deacons acted like they were tough on the outside but weak on the inside. They looked ferocious on the outside, but they were panicking on the inside. They weren't acting. They were really afraid. They knew very well how powerful Sir God Guo Yuan was. Plus, they saw with their own eyes that Ji Tianqing was seriously injured. But they didn't know how powerful the two divine arrays set up by Ji Tianqing were. They had the same idea as Lord Origin Master Guo. Even if a heaven god expert was an array master, how powerful could he set up a divine array? He definitely couldn't stop Lord Origin Master Guo. So, Deacon Shi and the other two were really panicking and at a loss. They seemed to foresee that Lord Origin Master Guo would beat them half to death and bring them back to Hidden Dragon Island to be tortured in public. What awaited them was inhumane torture and torment. Thinking of that, the three deacons were terrified and their faces turned pale. Swoosh! Lord Origin Master Guo was full of confidence and he stepped onto the island overbearingly. He stepped across the night sky and approached the peak of the mountain. 80 miles, 60 miles, 40 miles, the three deacons' hands started to tremble. Finally, Sir God Guo Yuan stopped and stood 30 miles away from the peak of the mountain. He stared at Ji Tianqing and sneered mockingly, "So what if I'm here? Where is the divine array you set up? What about your so-called inescapable net? Hurry up and activate it. Let this monarch see with his own eyes, what kind of trash is it?" The three deacons were in complete despair. They really wanted to kneel down and surrender, begging for forgiveness from Sir God Guo Yuan. They regretted it now. Why were they so spineless and loyal to the unreliable Ji Tianqing? However, they knew very well that it was useless to kneel and beg for mercy now. Sir God Guo Yuan couldn't tolerate traitors and would only torture them even more viciously. Therefore, they could only force themselves to hold on. Right at this moment, Ji Tianqing, who was like an arrow at the end of its flight, absorbed the life-saving divine light from the heaven-mending orb, and his face immediately glowed with radiance. In the blink of an eye, the injuries all over his body were healed, and he returned to his peak state. He stood up and said with a smile, "Celestial Lord Guo Yuan, as you wish, please enjoy." As he spoke, he used his mind to control the two divine arrays and they were instantly activated. Swoosh! A dark golden light cover with a radius of 300 miles appeared in the universe and sealed the entire island. Then, a slightly smaller seven-colored divine formation appeared on the island. The two great arrays operated at the same time and released a terrifying invisible divine power that suppressed Sir God Guo Yuan. His face instantly changed and he creased his eyebrows. He roared subconsciously, "This is a monarch-level divine array. Impossible. How could a heaven god set up a monarch-level divine array?" Sir God Guo Yuan was finally moved and he couldn't maintain his composure and confidence. Because the power of the two monarch-level divine arrays had already made his body stiff and his actions slow down. Even the divine power in his body was sealed by the invisible power of the array and it was moving very slowly. In the two divine arrays, his fighting power dropped tremendously and he could only give play to 60% of his power. Only a middle monarch-level divine array can achieve such an effect. Little bastard, how could you do it? Who's helping you in the dark? Even Qi Tianlong wouldn't be able to do it. Sir God Gui Yuan used all his strength to resist the suppression of the array as he questioned Ji Tianqing in shock and anger. However, Ji Tianqing and the three deacons left the divine array and flew to the sea at the edge of the island. They stood in the night sky and looked through the two divine light barriers as they sneered at Sir God Gui Yuan. He. Sir God Gui Yuan, no other Sir God helped me. Qi Tianlong didn't even know about this. From the beginning to the end, I was the one who dealt with Gui Yuan association. Ji Tianqing crossed his arms in front of his chest and smiled as he looked at Sir God Gui Yuan and explained slowly. Do you know why I could set up a monarch-level divine array? Why did I possess the power of a Sir God when I just ascended? Why was I able to injure the vice president? Why am I such a genius? Why am I the first person in history? Although Ji Tianqing only asked a question and didn't give an answer. Even if Sir God Gui Yuan used his toes to think, he knew that the answer was the opportunity of the heavenly way. Hence, his eyes were instantly filled with blood and turned dark red. It's the opportunity of the heavenly way. It must be. You obtained the opportunity of the heavenly way so that you could stand out and create such a miracle. Sir God Gui Yuan was agitated and his blood was boiling. He roared crazily, "You're just a lowly ascender, a worm from the lower plane. You don't deserve the opportunity of the heavenly way. That's blasphemy to the heavenly way. If I were to snatch your opportunity, I would definitely be 10 times more talented than you and create more glorious miracles. I would even surpass the legendary divine King Jiu Luo and become one of the rulers of the boundless heaven mainland." Ji Tianqing deliberately misled him and made him think that it was the effect of the opportunity of the heavenly way. The result was obvious. Sir God Gui Yuan believed it and was so jealous that he went crazy. Ji Tianqing nodded with satisfaction and laughed wildly, "Yes. You got everything right, but so what? You want to snatch my opportunity? Keep on dreaming. I'm the son of destiny, and you're just a lowly worm." Sir God Gui Yuan was agitated and became even more violent. He roared with fire in his eyes, "T. I'm the son of destiny. Don't run if you have the guts. I'll break your array now and tear you into pieces." After saying that, Sir God Gui Yuan waved his fists and legs crazily and unleashed fist radiance and leg shadows that covered the sky towards a certain spot in the array. Ji Tianqing didn't waste any more time and activated the power of the two god arrays to suppress Sir God Gui Yuan. Also, the Heaven Extermination Sword Array was fully activated. 3,005 colored giant swords were condensed in the array. They carried a dozen types of nomological powers and attacked Sir God Gui Yuan crazily. Swish swish swish. 3,000 giant swords sealed the heaven and earth and shuttled back and forth like flowing light. It was enough to tear apart all obstacles. Sir God Gui Yuan's power weakened further. He was trapped in the sword light and couldn't escape. Chapter 28-34. Bam bam bam. Sir God Gui Yuan unleashed his strongest fighting power and his punches and kicks created a sky full of shadows. Hundreds of fist lights and kick shadows had the power to destroy heaven and earth. They continuously hit the northwest corner of the formation. His consciousness was very strong and he could clearly sense that the power in the corner was weak. If he wanted to break through the formation, he had to attack from that corner. However, the hundreds of fist lights and kick shadows that he threw out were shattered by the huge swords in the blink of an eye. However, the more it was like that, the more obvious it was. Sir God Gui Yuan was certain that the corner was the weak point of the formation. Otherwise, why would Ji Tianqing block with all his strength and protect that corner? Sir God Gui Yuan sneered in his heart and he attacked with all his might. Ji Tianqing stood in the night sky and closed his eyes. He used his divine thought to control the formation and tried his best to resolve Sir God Gui Yuan's attack. Bam bam bam. Kaboom. Rumble. Various divine lights and shadows collided with the five-colored huge swords and there was a series of earth-shattering noises. Sir God Gui Yuan attacked crazily and his divine power was depleting quickly. However, he didn't realize it. Because his attack frequency was getting faster and the 3,000 huge swords couldn't stop him. He was approaching the northwest corner and he was getting closer to the formation's weak point. As long as I can get close to that spot, I will definitely break the formation. Sir God Gui Yuan was very confident and he was full of anticipation. Very soon, 100 breaths time passed. Sir God Gui Yuan had destroyed half of the 3,000 five-colored huge swords. With only 1,000 or so swords left, they could no longer stop him from attacking. He finally reached the northwest corner. He sneered complacently and performed his unique skill with all his might. Space-splitting God slaying. Sir God Gui Yuan roared and he formed a seal with both his hands. He flapped his wings crazily and there was a sacred golden light that soared into the sky. Swoosh! His body merged with the golden light, forming a giant sword that was thousands of feet long. It was extremely holy and mighty. Slash! As Sir God Gui Yuan roared, the huge sword slashed at the divine light barrier with the power to split open the sky. At that moment, Sir God Gui Yuan became one with the sword and he was determined to win. Ji Tianqing, who had been expressionless all this time, curled his lips into a sneer. Boom! The 1,000-meter-tall divine golden sword struck the divine light barrier with a loud boom that shook the 9 heavens. The entire island trembled violently, and huge waves were stirred up on the surrounding sea. For this sword, Sir God Gui Yuan had used all his strength without holding back. However, he was immediately met with tragedy. It was only when the giant sword struck the divine light barrier that he realized something was amiss. Not only was the 1-foot-thick barrier of divine light not weak, it even concealed the most dangerous killing intent. The power of the entire formation was actually concentrated on that one point. What seemed like a weak point was actually a trap. Boom! The divine light barrier blocked the slash of the 1,000-feet giant sword, and it actually erupted with 3 times the power as it counterattacked. This was borrowing strength to fight strength. The stronger the power Sir God Gui Yuan used to kill, the stronger the power of the backlash. Crack! Amidst an earth-shattering sound, the 10,000 feet long golden sword exploded into pieces. They turned into billions of golden specks of light and scattered on the island. Sir God Gui Yuan was also sent flying backward. His body was covered in cracks and golden blood splattered everywhere. Pfff, he fell from the sky as divine blood spurted out from his mouth and nose. His aura was extremely chaotic. Previously, when the 3,000 huge sword struck him, he only suffered some external injuries and it was nothing serious. However, this move had shattered his internal organs. His divine spark was trembling and he was severely injured. Bam! Sir God Gui Yuan fell from the sky and landed on the peak of the mountain. The small mountain had been suppressed and slashed by the huge swords. It had long been smashed into pieces and turned into rubble. After Sir God Gui Yuan landed, he destroyed the rubble that was 1,000 feet high, turning it into a deep pit. Endless dust and gravel flew into the sky and covered the entire island. Ah! Ah! Damn bastard, how dare you scheme against me! Sir God Gui Yuan, who was covered in blood, crawled out from the rubble and roared furiously. Ji Tianqing stood at the top of the formation and looked down at the pirate beneath him. He sneered and said, "What a joke. From the beginning until now, every move you made was within my calculations. You only realized it now. Don't you think it's too late? You Sir God Gui Yuan pointed at him with a trembling finger. He was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. Ji Tianqing said calmly, "You are very smart. However, it's a pity that you are only smart in small matters and do not have great wisdom. Most importantly, you were blinded by hatred and selfishness. That's why you ended up in such a state today. Cut the crap and die in peace." Then, he continued to control the heaven punishment sword formation and condensed 3,000 huge swords to slash at Sir God Gui Yuan. Then, the power of the five-colored huge swords increased by 50% and the effect was more obvious. After all, Sir God Gui Yuan was severely injured and he was only left with 50% of his power. Plus, his confidence had suffered a blow and his mind had been stimulated to the point of insanity. He was no longer calm. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. As the sword light flashed, Sir God Gui Yuan's golden robe was shredded into pieces that danced in the sky. There were wounds on his body and they were so deep that his bones could be seen. Blood splattered everywhere. Ah! 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 Screams filled with rage rang out from the heaven-destroying sword formation one after another. Sir God Gui Yuan was exhausted and he could only defend against the 3,000 huge swords. As for cracking the heaven punishment sword formation, he didn't have a chance. Plus, with his knowledge and skills, he definitely wouldn't be able to crack it. Then, he was like a wild beast that was trapped in a cage. He endured endless beatings and punishments until he died. Deacon Shi and the other two witnessed the scene with their own eyes. They felt their mouths go dry and they broke out in cold sweat. The three of them were silent and they didn't dare to make a sound. They looked at Ji Tianqing with respect and fear in their eyes. The Ascender only had the power of a heaven god. However, he had schemed against Sir God Gui Yuan and played him so miserably. Such scheming and skills were really terrifying. The three of them swore that they would be loyal to Ji Tianqing. They couldn't be disloyal. Otherwise, they would end up in a worse state than Sir God Gui Yuan. At the same time, Qi Huanji led more than 100 Qi family guards and flew out from the bottom of the sea. They came to the night sky. Although more than 20 guards had been killed by Sir God Gui Yuan. In actual fact, the survivors didn't do anything. They just watched the show from the side. Qi Huanji felt embarrassed that he didn't help at all. Hence, he led more than 100 guards and released their divine power to activate the formation. The three deacons' eyes lit up. They finally had something to do and they quickly joined Qi Huanji's team. Then, more than 100 heaven gods exerted their strength and provided more power to the heaven punishment sword formation. The power of the sword formation increased by 50% and the power of the 3,000 huge swords increased tremendously. Sir God Gui Yuan ended up in a worse state. He was covered in wounds and he didn't look like a human anymore. Chapter 28:35. Although the power of the heaven-destroying sword formation was terrifying, Senior Immortal Gui was not an ordinary person. However, Sir God Gui Yuan wasn't an ordinary person. He lasted for 7 minutes and didn't die. Even though his body had been reduced to a skeleton and looked extremely miserable and ferocious. It wouldn't endanger his life. For a Sir God expert like him, even if his body was destroyed and he was only left with a divinity, he could reform his body in a short period of time. After another 200 to 300 years of seclusion, he could recover and reach the peak again. Of course. Senior Immortal Gui Yuan couldn't break the heaven-destroying sword formation and he was destined to be trapped there. Under Ji Tianqing's control, the killing speed of the 3,005-colored huge swords obviously slowed down. Senior Immortal Gui Yuan, who looked like a bloody skeleton, was in despair. Suddenly, he felt that the power of the sword formation had weakened and his desire to live was suddenly ignited. He saw a glimmer of hope. B*****. No matter how strong your formation is, there will be a time when it runs out of energy. Come on. Kill me if you can. Senior Immortal Gue Yuan lifted his head and roared at Ji Tianqing in the night sky. Ji Tianqing said expressionlessly, "You are definitely going to die. No one can save you. However, you are a little lonely and pitiful on your journey alone. I will be merciful and send you a companion to die with you." As he spoke, he picked up the unconscious vice president and threw him into the heaven-destroying sword formation. The strange thing was that the vice president fell from the sky. The 3,005 colored huge swords shuttled back and forth in the formation, but they didn't touch him. Was it because the vice president was too lucky? Or did the 5-colored huge swords have eyes and avoid him? Senior Immortal Gue Yuan was dumbfounded and he stared at the vice president who fell from the sky. He came back to his senses and cursed angrily, ****. You are so vicious. You will die a horrible death. As he spoke, he flew over instinctively and caught the vice president with open arms. After all, the vice president was his confidant and also his most capable arm. Seeing that the vice president had fallen into the sword array and was about to be killed, how could he not save him? However, just as Sir God Gue Yuan caught the vice president, he saw Ji Tianqing reveal a mocking smile. At that moment, Sir God Gue Yuan instinctively felt that something was amiss. He immediately wanted to abandon the vice president and retreat to a relatively safe corner. However, it was all too late. Boom! With a deafening explosion, the vice president exploded. The remaining half of the god's body, the god's blood, and the godhead were instantly detonated. Dazzling blood-red light and golden divine flames rose up like a mushroom cloud, filling the entire heaven-destroying sword formation. However, it wasn't the vice president who had self-destructed. However, the power of the explosion was not inferior in the slightest. Ji Tianqing had already placed 2 types of seals and restrictions on the vice president's body. He had even infused his blood with a Tao Lord level God seal. At this critical moment, he only needed a single thought to turn the vice president into a bomb and detonate it. In the earth-shattering explosion, the vice president was completely obliterated. No matter if it was the god's body or the godhead, they had turned into boundless divine flames, leaving nothing behind. Sir God Gue Yuan was carrying the vice president and he couldn't dodge at all. Hence, he took the brunt of the explosion. In the blink of an eye, Sir God Gue Yuan's body was blasted into powder. A thumb-sized 5-colored godhead was also filled with cracks from the explosion and flew into the sky. Sir God Gue Yuan was dumbfounded and his consciousness was blurry. He had never expected that the vice president would become Ji Tianqing's hidden weapon and injure him to such an extent. Not only was his god's body destroyed, but his godhead was also severely damaged. Not to mention that his power had been reduced by more than half, he couldn't even differentiate between north and south. His consciousness was in a mess. Damn it! This guy is really despicable. Sir God Gue Yuan roared furiously. He couldn't wait to tear Ji Tianqing into pieces and grind his bones into dust. However, he also knew that it was impossible for him to take revenge now that he had ended up in such a state. Moreover, he had lost his god's body and was only left with a damaged godhead. He was definitely going to die. No amount of words could express his fury and hatred. Even if he was only left with a godhead, he wouldn't give up struggling to survive. He used his powerful divine power to form a 5-colored light shadow that was 1,000 feet tall as his new god's body. He held a huge sword that was 1,000 feet long and slashed the protective shield of the formation crazily. Bam! Bam bam! There was a series of thuds and the 5-colored light shield shook violently as it was slashed. There were layers of ripples. Even so, the formation was as stable as before and there wasn't a single crack. Ji Tianqing controlled the 3,000 huge swords to strangle Sir God Gue Yuan again. Ka! Ka ka! There was a crisp shattering sound and the five-colored light shadow that was 1,000 feet tall was slashed until divine light scattered in all directions. After the five-colored light shadow collapsed, Sir God Gue Yuan's godhead would be destroyed mercilessly. However, Sir God Gue Yuan's power was vast and mighty. He held on for 100 breaths of time and the five-colored light shadow didn't disperse. He could even use more than 30 types of power of laws to counterattack continuously. More than half of the 3,000 huge swords were destroyed and Ji Tianqing had no choice but to form them again. After 100 breaths of time, Ji Tianqing picked up the unconscious Zhu Qingcheng and threw her into the heaven-destroying sword formation. Sir God Gue Yuan, I'll give you another gift to accompany you in death. As he shouted, Zhu Qingcheng fell from the sky and smashed towards Sir God Gue Yuan. Sir God Gue Yuan had learned his lesson. Not only did he not catch Zhu Qingcheng, he retreated 100 miles and hid in a corner of the formation. Plus, he had formed a divine light shield to block the explosion. But the result was different from what he had expected. Zhu Qingcheng didn't explode. When she fell into the formation, she was slashed into powder by the sword. Light and blood mist filled the sky. Sir God Gue Yuan had a false alarm and he realized that he had been tricked by Ji Tianqing. He flew into a rage out of humiliation and roared like thunder. The people of the Qi family outside the array laughed contemptuously and ridiculed him. Ji Tianqing was disappointed and he reprimanded, Sir God Gue Yuan. You are such a hypocritical and selfish ****. You didn't save her. She was the deacon of the Gue Yuan Association, an elite that you valued the most. At the critical moment of life and death, you killed your loyal brother in order to save your own life. An inhumane **** like you should slit your own throat and commit suicide. Sir God Gue Yuan was furious and he almost went mad. You were the one who chopped off Zhu Qingcheng's limbs and threw her into the formation. I don't want to repeat the same mistake. I don't want to be blasted again. How did I become a hypocritical and selfish ****? Are you going to be reasonable or not? That's right. Ji Tianqing didn't intend to reason with him right from the start. He wanted to trick him, and kill him. Swish swish swish. Seeing Sir God Gue Yuan's emotions fluctuating, Ji Tianqing quickly controlled the formation to unleash a stronger power and slashed crazily. Chapter 28:36. About an hour later. The Heaven Punishment Sword formation gradually stopped working. Everything had ended. Sir God Gue Yuan's body was shattered into pieces by the sword formation. His divinity was also shattered into pieces. Dozens of fragments were scattered in the ruins. Sir God Gue Yuan had died. Before he died, he laughed crazily and roared, "Little bastard, you are ruthless enough. I lost. But don't be happy too early. I can't kill you, but someone else can. Very soon, you will be buried with me." Ha ha ha. Those were his last words. After a long while, the sound that reverberated in the sky gradually disappeared. Heaven and earth returned to peace. Then, the long night had passed and the sky was bright. Under Qi Huangji's command, hundreds of Qi family guards stopped casting their skills and sat down to meditate. Ji Tianqing stepped into the Heaven Punishment Sword formation to search for the spoils of war. Sir God Gue Yuan's divinity fragment had condensed over 30 types of laws and was a rare treasure. As for his spatial ring, Ji Tianqing was also determined to get it. After all, 80% of the wealth of the Gue Yuan group members had been confiscated by Sir God Gue Yuan. Ji Tianqing believed that Sir God Gue Yuan's space ring would definitely contain a large amount of cultivation resources. Besides, Zhu Qingcheng's divinity fragment was also a part of the spoils of war. After Ji Tianqing swallowed it, he would be able to increase his power. Deacon Shi and the other two stood stiffly in the sky and looked at Ji Tianqing quietly. Their gazes were complicated. Until now, they still couldn't believe it. The powerful and arrogant Sir God Gue Yuan was killed by Ji Tianqing just like that. He was a famous Sir God who had condensed 39 laws and was about to break through to the fifth heaven realm. He died on the nameless island just like that. Moreover, he died so miserably without anyone knowing about it. The three deacons couldn't accept it. This was totally different from what they had imagined. Before this, they had never thought that anyone could kill Sir God Gue Yuan. Ji Tianqing couldn't do it. Qi Tianlong from the Qi family couldn't do it. Even if the Lord of Qingshan City were to personally make a move, it would still not be enough. But then, Sir God Gue Yuan had really died. A powerhouse comparable to a fifth-level divine lord was actually killed by a celestial deity. Even if this heavenly deity had schemed and set up an inescapable net. However, this was also unrealistic. It was too inconceivable, simply appalling. The three deacons' fear of Ji Tianqing had reached a deeper level, almost carved into their bones. Before long, Ji Tianqing collected the spoils of war and removed the two monarch-grade great formations. He also took back the hundreds of thousands of god stones and many divine weapons. The nameless island with a radius of 300 miles had been reduced to ruins. Most of the area had been submerged by the sea, and only a few scattered reefs could be seen. Shua! Ji Tianqing flew back to the sky and arrived in front of the three deacons. Deacon Shi was the first to come back to his senses. He quickly bowed and shouted loudly, "Congratulations, Master, for your great victory and for successfully killing Sir God Gue Yuan. You have killed this demon and made a great contribution. You will definitely be rewarded by the Holy Kingdom. From today onwards, your name will spread throughout the bloody flame Holy Kingdom and you will become a dazzling new star." The other two deacons came back to their senses and quickly echoed, flattering Jian Wushuang. Hearing their flattery and praise, Ji Tianqing didn't have much reaction. He asked indifferently, "A few days ago, Sir God Gue Yuan was still your leader. Now that he has been killed by me, isn't it inappropriate for you to be so happy and flattering?" The two deacons were stunned and didn't know how to answer. The two of them didn't want to flatter Ji Tianqing and make it so exaggerated. However, Deacon Shi wanted to show his loyalty. The two of them couldn't disagree and could only go along with him. Deacon Shi quickly shook his head and explained earnestly, "Master, it's not that we are heartless, nor is it that we want to burn bridges and humiliate our old master. It's just that Sir God Gue Yuan was heartless, that's why we are unrighteous. Moreover, we have already pledged our loyalty to you. Of course, we have to stand on your side and feel happy and proud for you." Ji Tianqing looked at him deeply and said with a dignified expression, "Good. Since you are so loyal to me, I will give you a chance to show your loyalty." Qi Huanji just happened to fly over. Jian Wushuang pointed at Qi Huanji and said, "The matter of the Gue Yuan Association has come to an end, but it's not over yet. Next, the three of you will follow Qi Huanji and lead the troops to the hidden Dragon Island to eradicate the remnants of the Gue Yuan Association." Ah! The three deacons were stunned and revealed astonished and shocked expressions. One of the deacons subconsciously asked, "Master, are you going to kill them all?" As soon as he said that, Deacon Shi glared at him. Ji Tianqing said with an expressionless face, "Take this as a sign of your allegiance to me. You can choose to go or not." Although he didn't say anything threatening, the three of them still shivered. However, the three deacons still shrank their necks, feeling a deep chill. Since it was proof of their allegiance, how could they not go? Once they refused, the consequences would be obvious. Deacon Shi frowned and thought for a moment, then cupped his hands and said, "Master, since it is proof of our allegiance, the three of us will go. We are most familiar with the terrain of the hidden Dragon Island. If we can't even handle this matter, we are not qualified to be your servants. However, there is something that Master might not know. The people of the Gue Yuan Association hate traitors the most. If the three of us lead the troops to the Hidden Dragon Island, we will definitely anger the remnants of the Gue Yuan Association. They will kill us at all costs. Therefore, this old man boldly asks Master to lead everyone there. Ji Tianqing glanced at him and sneered, the Gue Yuan Association's president, vice president, and a few deacons have all been killed by me. The more than 100 elites in the association are all dead. Now, there are more than 100 pieces of trash left on the Hidden Dragon Island. What are you afraid of? This. Deacon. She was speechless. He struggled for a moment, then gritted his teeth and made up his mind. He nodded and said, in that case, this old man obeys. Master, please rest assured that we will complete the mission. Since Deacon she had agreed, the other two deacons had nothing to say and could only acquiesce. Qi Huanji came to Ji Tianqing's side and asked, Brother Tianqing, why don't you go to the Hidden Dragon Island with us? The experts of the Gue Yuan Association are all dead. There is no danger for us to go to the Hidden Dragon Island. We are just picking the fruits of victory. Are you going to give all the fruits of victory to our Qi family? Ji Tianqing didn't deny it. He nodded and said, the Qi family seems to be prosperous, but in fact, danger lurks everywhere. We need this fruit of victory to strengthen our position. At the same time, we can use this to deter the other big families. But most importantly, have you forgotten what I told you before? The Qi family dispatched so many guards to the setting sun ocean with great fanfare. They will definitely be discovered by the city lord's mansion and the other big families. Now that the Qi family and the mysterious light cave are weak, they will have an opportunity. Chapter 28-37. After listening to Ji Tianqing's words, Qi Huanji immediately realized that the Qi family and Profound Light Cave were in trouble. Indeed. Before the revenge operation, Ji Tianqing had reminded Qi Huanji. At that time, Qi Huanji didn't take it to heart. He only thought that he should deal with the Profound Light Cave first before dealing with the Origin Returning Association. Finally, he would resolve the crisis of the City Lord's Mansion and Blood Sword Sect. Everything had to be done one by one. As long as he followed Ji Tianqing's plan and fought steadily and surely, there would be no mistakes. But he didn't expect that Ji Tianqing would plan ahead. A few days ago, he had foreseen today's crisis. This shocked Qi Huanji and made him worship Ji Tianqing even more. Heavens! You already guessed that the other party would take this opportunity to make trouble. Ji Tianqing smiled and asked, is there a better opportunity than now? Qi Huanji smiled awkwardly and nodded. My father went to Tianfeng City and I led the troops to deal with the Origin Returning Association. There really isn't a better opportunity than now. Ji Tianqing said seriously, since you understand, what are you waiting for? Qi Huanji looked troubled and said worriedly, brother, it won't be dangerous for me to eliminate the remnants of the Origin Returning Association. But I'm worried about you. You haven't gained a firm foothold in the Qi family, but you have to protect the Qi family and Profound Light Cave. I'm afraid that something will happen to you. Don't jinx it, Ji Tianqing glared at him and said with a smile, the ones who should be worried are the City Lord's Mansion and Blood Sword Sect. It's their bad luck to encounter me. Qi Huanji thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. That's right. You're so sinister and lowly, no, you're so clever. Anyway, I'm absolutely at ease leaving the Qi family and Profound Light Cave to you. Ji Tianqing waved his hand and said, then you can go. Come back quickly. Qi Huanji didn't waste time and handed the young master token to Ji Tianqing. Then, he gathered hundreds of Qi family guards and flew to the depths of the setting sun sea region with 3 deacons. Everyone flew across the sky in a mighty manner and soon disappeared at the end of the sea. Ji Tianqing also turned and flew south, rushing back to Qingshan City alone. 6 hours later, it was noon. Ji Tianqing rushed back to the Qi residence at the fastest speed possible. He concealed his tracks and aura all the way until he entered the consecration courtyard of the Qi residence, and was not discovered by anyone. Once he returned to the Venerate court, he went into the secret chamber. He took out the 9 heavens 10 absolutes pagoda and placed it on the stone table in the secret room. Then, he entered the distorted spacetime of the divine pagoda and began to cultivate in seclusion. Previously, he had planned to stay in the 8th level heavenly god realm for a while longer. When his god base was stable enough, he would break through to the 9th level of the heavenly god realm. But he had a premonition that a storm was coming, and he could no longer wait. First, he would break through to the 9th degree realm. Then, when he reached the peak of the heavenly god realm, he would settle down and accumulate. After making up his mind, Ji Tianqing sat cross-legged in the distorted space and took out a large pile of quintessence fragments. There were more than 600 pieces of quintessence fragments, and when put together, he could gather more than 50 quintessence fragments. These were the experts of the Gue Yuan Association, as well as Zhu Qingqing and Sir God Gue Yuan's. Sir God Gue Yuan's quintessence fragments had the most vigorous power and contained the most number of laws. Ji Tianqing put them last. He first grabbed a handful of ordinary quintessence fragments and activated his engulfed divine power to quickly refine these fragments. In just one day, over 100 fragments were completely engulfed by him. The impurities were removed, half of the power went to the heaven-mending pearl, and the other half of the divine power went to him. It was a pity that the laws in these fragments were all ordinary and common laws. 70 to 80% of them were real God laws, and there were only a small number of heavenly God laws. Ji Tianqing did not mind. From the heavenly God laws, he picked out 4 that he did not have and refined them all. In this way, his power reached the peak of the 8th degree realm, and the number of laws reached 16. Then, Ji Tianqing grabbed another handful of quintessence fragments and continued to engulf. 3 days passed. He finally broke through to the 9th level of the heavenly god realm, and the number of laws reached 18. Next, he continued to engulf the remaining 400 over quintessence fragments. 5 days later. 9th level of the heavenly god realm, his power doubled, and the number of laws reached 19. 7 days later. His power doubled, and the number of laws reached 20. 9 days later. His power tripled, and the number of laws reached 21. 12 days later. His power quadrupled, and the number of laws reached 22. By then, including Zhu Qingqing, the quintessence fragments of the experts of the Gue Yuan Association were all engulfed by Ji Tianqing. Only Sir God Gue Yuan's 12 quintessence fragments were left. He decided to study them and engulf them slowly. Swoosh! Ji Tianqing picked up a 5-colored fragment and held it in his palm. He used the black whirlpool to refine it slowly. The boundless divine power in the fragment flowed into the heaven-mending pearl like a torrential river. After being purified by the heaven-mending pearl, half of the divine power entered his body and increased his power quickly. At the same time, the divine Tao laws in the fragment were peeled off by him bit by bit and refined one by one. After refining one fragment, he picked up the second one and repeated the process. Unknowingly, a month passed. Sir God Gue Yuan's 12 quintessence fragments were all refined by Ji Tianqing. The current him already reached peak 9th level celestial deity realm. Furthermore, he plundered 18 types of laws from Sir God Gue Yuan's quintessence fragments. And the number of divine Tao laws that he possessed reached a horrifying 40. Grasping 40 types of divine Tao laws with peak celestial deity strength, this was something that had never happened before. Moreover, among those 40 laws, most of them were celestial deity level laws. There were also 5 Tao Lord level laws and even a divine king level devour law. Such an unparalleled genius, looking across the entire boundless heaven continent, one could not find more than a few. Even though he was only peak celestial deity realm currently. His true combat power had already reached an unfathomable level. With that, Ji Tianqing ended his cultivation with satisfaction. When he opened his eyes, he muttered to himself softly, "This time, I have to stabilize at peak celestial deity for a long time. I can only break through to the Divine Lord realm after my God base is firm." Done talking, he left the Divine Tower and returned to the secret chamber. He was in closed seclusion in the distorted spacetime for as long as a month. Only half a day had passed in the outside world. It was already late at night. Under the dim curtain of night, Azure Mountain City was sleeping peacefully. Inside Qi Manor was also very quiet. Only a few places were lit up. There were also several teams of guards patrolling through the night. Ji Tianqing meditated and regulated his breathing in the secret chamber, but released his divine sense to envelop the entire Qi Manor, secretly observing the situation. On the surface, Qi Manor was peaceful and auspicious. Even if family head and young lord were not around, Qi Manor was still in good order. But Ji Tianqing detected the abnormality very quickly. There was a smoke-like black shadow that quietly passed through the west courtyard, leaving Qi Manor silently. That black shadow's strength was not ordinary. He was very clear about Qi Manor's terrain, patrolling guards, and hidden sentries. The black shadow passed through several courtyards and palaces, circling around 6 hidden sentries and 2 patrol teams, and was not discovered by anyone. After leaving Qi Manor, that black shadow dived underground, speeding in the direction of the South City. Chapter 28-38. Swoosh! Ji Tianqing immediately flew out of the consecration court and quietly followed. He also concealed his whereabouts and aura, shuttling through the night like a ghost, not being discovered by anyone. After leaving Qi Manor, he also tunneled underground and quietly followed that black shadow. The 2 people, one in front and one behind, passed through half of Azure Mountain City, quietly crossed the city wall, and hurried in the direction of the southern suburbs. South of Azure Mountain City was all rolling mountain ranges, covered in lush forests. Under the night sky, only the outlines of the many mountain ranges could be seen, dark shadows overlapping. Ji Tianqing and that black-robed man maintained a distance of 100,000 feet from beginning to end. Logically speaking, at such a close distance, the black-robed man should have discovered him long ago. But the black-robed man's strength was only at the 9th level celestial god realm. Ji Tianqing's method of concealing his whereabouts and aura was too brilliant. The 2 were 100,000 feet apart. It was impossible for the black-robed man to discover him. About 7 minutes later, the 2 flew out 30,000 miles, far away from Azure Mountain City. At this time, the black-robed man burrowed out of the ground and flew to a 10,000 feet tall mountain peak. That was a nearly straight lone peak, like a giant sword that reached the heavens, pointing straight to the firmament. Compared to the surrounding mountains, this lone peak had a majestic aura, showing off its sharpness. The black-robed man flew to the lone peak and very soon burrowed into a stone door, vanishing. That stone door was on the cliff, covered by a huge rock on the outside, rather hidden. Ji Tianqing knew at a glance that there was a passageway behind the stone door, which should lead to the interior of the mountain. As for the peak of the lone peak, under the cover of the huge rock and forest, there was also a spacious courtyard. But the courtyard was dark, and there were no traces of divine race activity either. Ji Tianqing flew to the edge of the cliff and used the earth law to burrow into the rock layer, diving into the interior of the mountain. However, it didn't take long for him to be blocked by a defensive formation. He did not act rashly, secretly using his divine sense to investigate the situation. It turned out that there was a huge cave inside the mountain, artificially excavated to become a secret stronghold. There were dozens of experts guarding inside, and there was also the aura of a divine lord powerhouse. The entire cave was protected by 3 layers of defensive and sealing formations, all low-grade monarch-level divine formations. Ji Tianqing was able to break a divine array of this level. However, it would take some effort, and it would take about 2 hours. Of course, if he tried to crack it, it would alert the people in the cave. After weighing the pros and cons, he decided to wait and see. After the black-clothed man entered the cave, no one knew what he did. Only 15 minutes later, the black-clothed man left the cave. Shwa! He passed through the night like a wisp of black smoke, burrowing into the ground again and heading back to Green Mountain City. Ji Tianqing knew that the black-clothed man had completed his mission and should be returning to the Qi residence. He remembered the appearance and aura of the man in black, but he did not follow him. He stayed in the belly of the mountain and continued to wait. About 100 breaths later, a divine lord powerhouse led over 40 experts and hurriedly left the cave. The divine monarch wore a black robe and a cloak. He used a divine ability to conceal his true appearance. More than 40 experts were also dressed in black and wore masks, making it impossible to tell their identities. Everyone flew across the night sky as fast as lightning, heading towards the southwest. After they flew 100 miles away, Ji Tianqing quietly followed. Then, the group flew over mountains and forests for a total of 60,000 miles. Outside a valley shrouded in clouds, the group of black-clothed men finally stopped. They quietly hid underground and approached the entrance of the valley silently. Seeing this, Ji Tianqing hid 100 miles away and secretly observed. He could see that the huge valley was about 300 miles wide. The valley was gourd-shaped. The entrance was narrow, but the inside was very wide. Moreover, the entire valley was protected by a monarch-level divine array. There must be some secrets hidden inside. Unfortunately, Ji Tianqing was not very familiar with the terrain outside Green Mountain City. He had heard of some famous places that were often mentioned, such as a certain mountain, a certain lake, and so on. However, he had no impression of the valley in front of him. He only vaguely felt that this matter might be disadvantageous to the Qi family. Just as he was thinking, a divine light lit up at the entrance of the valley. Bam, bam, bam. There was a dull sound that reverberated between the mountains. Ji Tianqing used his divine sense to detect that the leading black-clothed Sir God had activated the defensive array at the entrance of the valley. The guards guarding the valley saw that there were intruders and immediately fought back with their swords and sabers. However, those guards were killed in less than 3 moves by the black-clothed Sir God. Then, the black-clothed Sir God led more than 40 black-clothed experts into the valley. The guards guarding the valley sent out a signal that there was an enemy attack. Some of them even shouted loudly. Soon, more than 100 divine realm guards rushed out with swords, sabers, and spears. After the two groups of people met, they started killing without saying a word. Both sides used all kinds of divine skills to kill with all their might. Rumble. A deafening sound reverberated in the valley, causing the ground to tremble. The dazzling 5-colored divine light lit up 1,000 miles and drove away the darkness. To Ji Tianqing's surprise, the number of guards in the valley was 3 times that of the black-clothed experts. However, the valley guards were forced to retreat in defeat. They were attacked until they were in a mess and suffered heavy casualties. After all, the 40 black-clothed experts were more elite and their leader was a Sir God. Ji Tianqing felt that something was wrong. He quietly flew across the night sky and wanted to enter the valley to see what was going on. At this moment, in the depths of the valley, there were exclamations and shouts from a few corners. The array is broken. That damned bastard actually opened the great protective mountain array. Ji Tianqing could tell that those were the cries of the valley guards. Then, there was a series of beast roars in the depths of the valley. Roar! Roar! Awoo! Chirp chirp! Then, Ji Tianqing saw many large demonic beasts and divine beasts of different shapes running out from the depths of the valley. There was a silver moon wolf as big as a palace, a red flame tiger with wings, a purple thunder raging bull with a single horn, and a divine bird by Fong with beautiful feathers, many demonic beasts and divine beasts crazily rushed out of the array and escaped the valley. They scattered in all directions, burrowing into the mountains in all directions, and soon disappeared without a trace. With the roars of beasts, more demonic beasts and divine beasts rushed out of the valley like a tide and flew into the night sky. The guards in the valley were shocked and anxious. They were all flustered and lost their sense of propriety. Even though there were many of them, about 200 of them. But they had to block the black-clothed men's attacks and stop the escaping demonic beasts and divine beasts at the same time. In just a few seconds, more than 70 of the guards in the valley were killed. More than 40 demonic beasts and divine beasts of various kinds escaped. Seeing this scene, Ji Tianqing frowned. He had guessed the truth. Chapter 28-39. Why would so many wild beasts and mythical beasts appear in the valley outside of Green Mountain City for no reason? Ji Tianqing immediately understood that they must have been raised by someone. Ordinary families and forces couldn't afford to raise so many wild beasts and mythical beasts, nor could they afford to hire over 100 celestial gods. The answer was obvious. That valley and the mythical beasts inside were most likely the Qi family's property. After all, the Qi family was the only one in the entire Green Mountain City that dealt with beasts. There's a mole in the Qi family while Qi Tianlong and Qi Huanji are away. Destroying this valley is like cutting off one of the Qi family's arms. What a good move. Ji Tianqing murmured to himself and rushed to the entrance of the valley without hesitation. Violent divine power was accumulated in his body. His eyes were cold and his right hand was holding the sword of burial of heaven. The Qi family guards at the entrance of the valley had already been killed by the men in black. At the moment, 4 men in black were guarding the entrance of the valley, responsible for intercepting the Qi family guards who were trying to escape. When they found Ji Tianqing, they were killed by a brilliant sword aura before they could see what Ji Tianqing looked like. Swish, swish, swish. As the sword aura flashed, the 4 men in black collapsed and turned into a mist of blood and debris. Ji Tianqing rushed into the valley without hesitation. He didn't get far before 6 men in black surrounded him. Neither side said a word, they attacked as soon as they saw each other, showing no mercy at all. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Ji Tianqing put his left hand behind his back and waved the sword of burial of heaven with his right hand, unleashing 72 sword auras in one breath. Every sword light was incomparably sharp and contained a powerful power of laws. It could be said that they could destroy the world. The 6 black-clothed men didn't even last a single exchange before they were quickly killed. Then, Ji Tianqing continued to rush into the valley. Along the way, the men in black were constantly shouting and cursing as they jumped at him with murderous intent. There was no doubt that Ji Tianqing was on a killing spree and was invincible. 30 breaths later, he rushed into the depths of the valley. At this moment, the ground behind him was already dyed red with blood. At least 20 black-clothed men were killed on the spot, turning into minced meat and blood on the ground. The aftermath of the battle destroyed half of the valley into ruins, leaving behind deep pits and ravines. The Qi family guards guarding the valley had also suffered heavy losses. There were only 60 or so people left. When they saw the reinforcements, they finally calmed down. Some of them went to intercept the escaping divine beasts, while most of them gathered together and followed Ji Tianqing to fight against those black-robed men. The leading black-robed divine emperor finally noticed Ji Tianqing and stopped his charge. He teleported in front of Ji Tianqing and lifted his right leg to sweep at him. The 5-colored divine light that blotted out the sky and covered the earth crashed toward Ji Tianqing like a 1,000-foot-long light pillar. Even though it was just a casual strike from the black-robed divine lord. But it was very powerful, enough to destroy the entire Beast Valley. At the critical moment, Ji Tianqing held the sword of burial of heaven with both hands and blocked in front of him. The dazzling 5-colored sword light contained 15 kinds of power of laws. Among them was the devouring law. Bang! In the deafening loud noise, Ji Tianqing was knocked back 1,000 feet and his feet plowed 2 deep ravines on the ground. The dazzling sword light was shattered, but the 5-colored light pillar also fell apart. Ji Tianqing blocked the black-robed Divine Lord's attack and was unscathed. The black-robed Divine Lord frowned and narrowed his eyes. The surviving black-clothed men were also shocked. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Who is this person? How can he block the attack of the 5th Zhang? Divine Lord? He is also a Divine Lord. Is he Qi Tianlong? No. Qi Tianlong is still in Tianfeng City. How can he suddenly rush back? Many black-robed men looked at each other and discussed secretly. No one recognized Ji Tianqing. After all, he was also wearing a mask to cover his face. At this time, the black-robed Divine Lord snorted and punched out 2 fist shadows toward Ji Tianqing. 2 5-colored fist shadows, one was like a dragon and a tiger, and the other was as big as a mountain. Invisible divine power spread out and shrouded the entire Beast Valley. All the Qi family guards and black-robed men, including many divine beasts that broke out of the cages and escaped, were suppressed and trembling with fear. Ji Tianqing was not afraid. He used all his strength to perform the dragon-elephant fist and punched out 2 dragon and elephant shadows. Kaboom! The 4 fist shadows collided with a deafening noise that reverberated in the Beast Valley. Suddenly, a destructive shock wave spread in all directions and swept through half of the Beast Valley. A thick layer of soil was removed from the ground. The surrounding houses, palaces, and cages were all shattered by the impact. Even the Qi family's guards and black-clothed men were sent flying and fell to the ground in disorder. Many people were injured and vomited blood after falling to the ground. However, Ji Tianqing and the black-robed Divine Lord were safe and sound. They only retreated 100 feet. This result made the black-robed Divine Lord's expression more dignified and his eyes were full of shock. He stared at Ji Tianqing with sharp eyes and said in a deep voice, "You are not Qi Tianlong, nor are you a member of the Qi family. Why are you meddling in other people's business?" As soon as he said this, it proved that he had some understanding of the Qi family's situation. Ji Tianqing was more and more certain that tonight's incident was a conspiracy against the Qi family. When you see injustice on the road, you should help. I am very curious. How did the Qi family offend you to make you do such a cruel thing? The black-robed Divine Lord naturally refused to answer directly. He said in a threatening tone, "Since you know that this is between us and the Qi family, you should not meddle in other people's business. You'd better think clearly. You can't afford to offend us." Ji Tianqing suddenly looked up and laughed, "Ha ha ha ha. What a joke. I can't afford to offend you. Well, then I will let you all be buried here." As his voice fell, he waved the sword of burial of heaven with all his strength and used a sword technique to attack the black-robed Divine Lord. A sword of life. Absolute shadows of 10 directions. Daylight sword. In just 3 breaths, Ji Tianqing used 3 sword techniques in a row. They were all exquisite and unparalleled sword techniques. The dazzling 5-colored divine light and the dazzling sword light phantoms covered more than half of the Beast Valley. The powerful divine power was always locked on the black-robed Divine Lord. If he was not careful, he would be seriously injured. The black-robed Divine Lord was more and more shocked. He tried his best to dodge and look for an opportunity to fight back. The 2 figures flickered back and forth in the Beast Valley, drifting erratically. The shock wave produced by the collision of the 2 sides shattered the entire Beast Valley into ruins. After a while, the 2 fought into the night sky and flew out of the Beast Valley. The surviving black-robed men were all injured and it was difficult for them to continue fighting. Moreover, the number of surviving Qi family guards was as many as 60 people. If the 2 sides continued to fight, the black-robed men would definitely be wiped out. Therefore, the black-robed men tacitly flew out of the Beast Valley and fled south with the black-robed Divine Lord. Chapter 2840. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen black-robed men escaped from the Beast Valley. More than 60 Qi family guards wanted to chase and capture a few of them alive. After such a big incident, they didn't even know which force the attackers were from. It was difficult to explain to the Qi family. However, those black-robed men escaped too quickly. Moreover, more than half of the Beast Valley was destroyed and almost turned into ruins. There were more than 20 demonic beasts and divine beasts that couldn't escape in time and were still trapped in the ruins. The Qi family guards had to give up the plan to chase and quickly treat and pacify those divine beasts and deal with the aftermath. Ji Tianqing and the black-robed divine emperor had already exchanged hundreds of blows. After the two left the Beast Valley, they flew more than 20,000 miles south. At this time, the black-robed men caught up. They were worried about the black-robed divine emperor's safety and quickly besieged Ji Tianqing. The black-robed divine emperor had a bad premonition. He frowned and scolded, "Don't worry about me, you guys retreat first." However, his words were too late. Ji Tianqing stopped attacking him and turned to kill the black-robed men, using the 10,000 swords returned to sect. Swoosh! 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 Tens of thousands of five-colored giant swords appeared out of thin air within a radius of 1,000 miles. Each sword light was 100 meters long, gorgeous and colorful, and contained 18 types of nomological power. Suddenly, the world was enveloped by sword light. The injured black-robed men were also drowned by the divine sword light. Only a series of muffled bangs could be heard. Ah ah ah, screams resounded through the night sky. In a short while, the black-robed men were all killed by the sword light. Not a single one was left alive. All of them were turned into pieces of flesh and blood. Even their godheads were shattered by the sword light and scattered in the ruins. Naturally, the black-robed divine emperor was also besieged by the sword light. He had no choice but to use all kinds of divine arts to resist the sword light's attack. Ji Tianqing soon saw the clues. Although the black-robed divine emperor's divine skills were mostly divine powers of the five elements, stars, and thunder. But at the critical moment, he would often release blood swords, blood mist, and blood light. Those blood-red divine lights were even more powerful and could always help him avert danger. Ji Tianqing guessed the answer from the obvious characteristics of the cultivation method. Blood Sword Sect. He was 70% sure that the black-robed divine monarch was from the Blood Sword Sect. Since this was the case, there was no need for him to show mercy. Without hesitation, he used his trump card. Celestial Dragon Tyrant Body. Ji Tianqing let out a low growl and instantly transformed into a golden armored giant that was hundreds of meters tall. His combat strength increased by 6 times as he charged at the black-robed divine lord like a raging dragon. Sky-breaking sword. 7-star sword. Duan Yu. Shattered sun. God Punisher. Burial of heaven. He performed all kinds of sword Dao unique skills one after another. The dazzling golden sword light, mixed with the thunder god flame, covered an area of 3,000 miles. The black-robed divine lord was forced into a fluster. While resisting with all his might, he was forced to retreat. He had no choice but to use a divine sword. Swoosh! It was a dark red giant sword that was hundreds of meters long and exuded a peerless ferocious aura. Blood Fiend. The black-robed divine lord roared angrily as blood flames burst out from his body. He cast a spell with both hands and controlled the blood-red sword to descend from the sky and slash at Ji Tianqing. Seeing this, Ji Tianqing laughed. Ha ha ha. You've been forced to reveal your true form. Blood Sword Sect bastard, I'll kill you tonight. With that, he also used his ultimate skill without holding back. Sky-breaking sword. He held the burial of heaven with both hands and merged with the divine sword, transforming into a 1,000-meter-tall divine golden sword that slashed at the giant blood-red sword. Although he didn't join forces with Yunyao this time, his strength had reached the peak of the heavenly god realm and had increased by many times. With his full strength, the power of this sword Dao ability had reached an unprecedented limit. Kaboom! Amidst an earth-shattering explosion, the giant blood-red sword was shattered into pieces, and blood splashed everywhere. The blood-red sword flew back and stabbed into the ground thousands of miles away. The power of the divine golden sword didn't weaken much as it continued to slash at the black-robed divine lord. The black-robed divine lord was enveloped by the terrifying sword intent. His entire body was cold and stiff. He had nowhere to run. He could only use all his strength to form a blood-red shield to protect himself. Kaboom! The blood-red light barrier exploded with a bang and splintered into pieces that filled the sky. The black-robed divine lord trembled as he spat out a dark red arrow of blood. He staggered back hundreds of meters, but he didn't forget to dodge the golden sword. However, his speed was slightly slower than the others. Bam! The divine golden sword slashed into his left shoulder with a loud thud. The golden sword slashed from top to bottom, splitting him in half. His left shoulder, left arm, and left leg were separated from his body and exploded into a bloody mist. Although this sword didn't kill the black-robed divine lord, his godhead was still intact and he could continue to fight. However, half of his body was destroyed. After suffering such a heavy injury, his combat strength had greatly decreased. The heart-wrenching pain caused him to involuntarily cry out in pain. It was exceptionally miserable. Awe! The black-robed divine lord flew back 30 miles before he could stand still in the night sky. He glared angrily at Ji Tianqing, his eyes filled with extreme hatred. He roared hysterically, "You bastard! I'll remember you. Just you wait, the blood sword sect won't let you go. Soon. I'll tear you to shreds very soon." Since the other party had guessed that he was from the blood sword sect, he didn't need to hide anymore. He might as well reveal his identity and threaten the other party. He also hoped that the other party would be wary after confirming his identity. Unexpectedly, Ji Tianqing didn't stop. Instead, he waved his sword even more fiercely. "Old man! I said that you'll be buried here tonight." At this time, Ji Tianqing had already separated from the sword of burial of heaven. He held the sword of burial of heaven with both hands, raised it high above his head, and slashed down from the night sky. The sword intent locked onto the black-robed divine lord, making it impossible for him to dodge. He had to bear the terrifying suppression. In the next moment, the black-robed divine lord was about to be killed by the sword of burial of heaven. At this critical moment, the black-robed divine lord clenched his teeth and made up his mind. Divine blood filling the sky. With a cold shout, the black-robed divine lord's body suddenly exploded, turning into a bloody mist that covered the sky and scattered in the night sky. Seeing this scene, Ji Tianqing couldn't help but frown. The sword of burial of heaven hadn't even hit him, so how did he explode into a bloody mist that filled the sky? It was as if he had been blown apart by the sword of burial of heaven. What kind of show was this? But in the next moment, Ji Tianqing guessed the black-robed divine lord's intention. Escape. That's right, escape. After the black-robed divine lord turned into a bloody mist, he immediately merged with the night sky and disappeared without a trace. Even when Ji Tianqing released his divine sense to cover a radius of 30,000 miles and carefully searched twice, he couldn't find any trace of the black-robed divine lord. Obviously, the black-robed divine lord had used the divine blood filling the sky to escape. P.S. Readers, I'm He Wuhan. I recommend a free app that supports downloading, listening to books, zero ads, and multiple reading modes. Please follow, book friends, quickly follow. Chapter 28-41. Ji Tianqing was very depressed. He originally wanted to kill the Black-Robed Divine Lord and eliminate the root of the problem. But at the critical moment, the Black-Robed Divine Lord used his trump card and escaped. Ji Tianqing could only take back the burial of Heaven's sword and muttered to himself, "Sigh, if I had already broken through to the Divine Lord realm, this person wouldn't have been able to escape." Indeed. If he reached the Divine Lord realm, he could borrow the power of the world to instantly seal a radius of tens of thousands of miles. No matter how capable the Black-Robed Divine Lord was, he wouldn't be able to escape this world. He would definitely be caught and killed. The Divine Lord realm was an even more unfathomable level than the Celestial God realm. It could control heaven and earth and many divine Tao laws, quickly forming a law domain. In his own domain, he was an invincible god, and his combat strength would skyrocket. At this moment, Ji Tianqing really wanted to return to the Divine Tower to cultivate in seclusion and break through to the Divine Lord realm as soon as possible. However, he also knew that this idea was unrealistic. The Qi family's matter hadn't been resolved yet, so he couldn't go into seclusion for the time being. Moreover, what happened tonight was only the beginning of the storm. Next, there would definitely be an even more intense storm coming. The Black-Robed Divine Lord was an expert of the Blood Sword sect. First, he failed to seize the profound light cave, and then suffered such a huge loss under his sword. How could he let it go? Even if one used their toes to think, they would definitely retaliate even more fiercely. Ji Tianqing hurriedly suppressed the distracting thoughts in his heart and began to search the battlefield. After a while, he found more than a dozen interspatial rings and hundreds of divine spark fragments. One of the rings actually belonged to the Black-Robed Divine Lord. After all, the Black-Robed Divine Lord wore the interspatial ring on his left hand. The left side of his body had been chopped into pieces. After putting away these things, Ji Tianqing didn't go to the Beast Valley and rushed back to Qingshan City as fast as possible. He guessed that the Qi family should have received the news and knew what happened in the Beast Valley. It was early in the morning, so the Qi family must have dealt with this matter overnight. Ji Tianqing's guess was right. Half an hour after the chaos in the Beast Valley, several guard captains sent a message and reported the news to the Qi family. The people who received the news were the 3 deacons of the Qi family. The person at the helm of the Qi clan was, of course, the patriarch, Qi Tianlong. The person with the second highest status was naturally the young lord, Qi Huanji. Below them were the 5 deacons. Among them, the grand deacon, the second deacon, and the 5th deacon were Qi Tianlong's brothers. The 3rd deacon and the 4th deacon had been loyal to the Qi clan for many years. Coincidentally, the chief deacon and the second deacon were both in the profound light cave, overseeing the general situation there. The 3rd deacon, 4th deacon, and 5th deacon were left behind to guard the Qi residence. 3rd deacon Jin Zhong and 4th deacon Jiao An were old officials who had been loyal to the Qi family for hundreds of years. The 2 of them were rather old, both of them had white hair. Therefore, the 2 of them had always been prudent and conservative. He did not seek merit, but he sought not to make any mistakes. As for the 5th deacon, Qi Tianhe, he was Qi Tianlong's cousin. Qi Tianhe was ranked last and did not have much power. Normally, he didn't pay much attention to the family business and career. The Qi clan's impression of him was that he was in secluded cultivation, greedy for pleasure, and indulging in women. After the 3 deacons received the news, they gathered the backbone of the Qi clan and discussed countermeasures in the conference hall. The resplendent meeting hall was brightly lit. More than 20 of the Qi clan's backbone stood neatly in the hall, their expressions solemn and heavy. The 3 deacons sat at the head of the table, frowning in contemplation. Jin Zhong and Jiao An were full of worries and had been discussing countermeasures with the Qi clan's backbone. Qi Tianhe sat at the head of the table, but he did not speak much and had an indifferent attitude. The Qi clan's backbone had long been used to his style and did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. In any case, Qi Tianhe was the patriarch's cousin and had a noble status. Even if he did not do anything and did not do anything, the patriarch should discipline him. The Qi clan's backbone and the two deacons did not have the qualifications to say anything. Jin Zhong, who was wearing a purple robe, was a tall and sturdy old man with white eyebrows and white hair. He had a dignified square face, and his eyes were bright and full of vigor. He was awe-inspiring without being angry. Looking at the Qi clan's backbone in the hall, he said in a low voice, "Just now, we received a secret report from the mythical Beast Valley in the south of the city. A group of people in black attacked the mythical Beast Valley in the middle of the night, killing over 100 guards and destroying the entire mythical Beast Valley. Over 100 beasts and mythical beasts took advantage of the chaos and escaped. There were only 64 guards left in the mythical Beast Valley and they did their best to capture 24 mythical beasts." After Jin Zhong finished speaking, Jiaowen took over the conversation. He was a skinny old man with a dark face. His eyes were deep and sharp. "I have sent out 30 guards to form a temporary investigation team and go to the mythical Beast Valley to investigate the situation and treat the wounded. But the question is, where did those people in black come from? Why did they destroy the mythical Beast Valley? How are we going to catch up with the hundreds of mythical beasts that have escaped? The reason why I've gathered everyone here is to brainstorm. I hope that everyone can come up with a solution." After the two deacons finished speaking, the more than 20 backbone members in the hall began to whisper to each other. "How hateful! Who attacked the mythical Beast Valley? For over 100 years, the Qi clan has never been humiliated like this. No matter which force it is, they must pay a painful price. Alas, the family head and the future family head are not here, and this happened. Isn't the mythical Beast Valley protected by all kinds of formations? How did those people in black get in?" Everyone was talking, but no one could give a reasonable suggestion. At this moment, Qi Tianhe, the fifth deacon who had been keeping his head down, suddenly said, "The family head is far away in the Tianfeng County, dealing with the family business. He is already under pressure. Don't inform the family head about what happened tonight in case he is worried. Let's not worry about the origin of those people in black. This matter needs to be investigated slowly, and it will take a long time. Our top priority is to treat the wounded, rebuild the mythical Beast Valley, and find the escaped pets. We have to try our best to recover the losses so that we can explain to the family head when he comes back." The hall, which had been abuzz with discussion, quieted down. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Qi Tianhe. There was a mixture of surprise and astonishment in everyone's eyes. No one expected that Qi Tianhe, who had rarely cared about the family business, would step forward at this time. Moreover, what he said was quite reasonable. Jin Zhong nodded and said solemnly, "Fifth deacon, you are usually obsessed with cultivation and rarely care about the family business. However, you are still very attentive at this critical moment when the family is in danger." "I agree with fifth deacon's suggestion." Jiaowen hesitated for a moment and nodded in agreement. "So do I," Qi Tianhe nodded and said calmly, "Since both deacons agree, let's do it this way. Let's take action as soon as possible. We will rebuild the mythical Beast Valley and search for the escaped pets." Jin Zhong and Jiaowen nodded at the same time and were about to give orders. But right then, a voice came from the door of the hall. "Wait." Chapter 2842. The sudden voice, which contained a powerful majesty, shocked everyone in the hall. Everyone was puzzled and turned to look at the door. Who was so bold? Who dared to barge into the meeting hall and interrupt everyone's discussion? Immediately, under everyone's gaze, a handsome young man in a white robe stepped into the hall. After seeing this person's face, the three deacons and many of the backbones were stunned. Then, there were whispers in the crowd. "It's the master. Why is young master Qianqing back? Didn't he follow the young master to carry out a mission?" Strange, the master is back, why didn't the young master come back? Everyone recognized that it was the master of the Qi family, young Master Qianqing. More than 20 backbones, including the 3 deacons at the head, all bowed to salute. Greetings, Lord Consecrator. Although Ji Qianqing was hired by the Qi family as an external aide. But in terms of status, he was second only to the family master and the young master, and his status was higher than the deacons. Qi Tianlong and his son were not present, so he was the person with the highest status. While everyone was saluting, Ji Tianqing walked through the crowd and walked to the head. The 3 deacons quickly stepped aside and stood aside. Ji Tianqing did not stand on ceremony. He sat down and glanced over everyone with his majestic eyes. However, when he glanced at the 5th deacon, Qi Tianhe, there was an imperceptible coldness in his eyes. Qi Tianhe still kept his head down with a cold and indifferent posture. He did not react at all. At this time, Jin Zhong bowed and asked, "Young Master Tianqing, may I ask why you interrupted us? Are you not satisfied with the result of our discussion, or do you have other instructions?" Everyone looked at Ji Tianqing, waiting for his answer. Ji Tianqing did not beat around the bush and said directly, "I don't want to waste time, so I will say it directly. There is no problem with the result of your discussion. You must rebuild the Valley of Mythical Beasts and search for escaped pets to minimize losses. But before these 2 things are carried out, I have a more important matter that must be solved now." As soon as he said that, the atmosphere in the hall seemed to have frozen. Everyone's heart sank, feeling uneasy. Even Ji Tianqing, who had been lowering his head, secretly glanced at Ji Tianqing. Jiawen cupped his hands in greeting and asked, "Sir Consecrator, may I ask what is so urgent?" Ji Tianqing said expressionlessly, "Eliminate the traitor." Hearing this, everyone was stunned and couldn't help but cry out in surprise. What? A mole? There's actually a traitor in our Qi clan. How is this possible? What is Lord Consecrator doing? How can we investigate the traitor at this time? The 20 or so core members all expressed their disbelief and found it hard to accept this matter. Jin Zhong and Jiawen saluted at the same time and advised, "Consecrated Darren, the matter of the traitor is of great importance. You must be careful with your words and actions." That's right. This matter was related to the Qi clan's reputation, so they couldn't act rashly. They had to wait for the clan leader to return before dealing with it. Let's deal with the God-Beast Valley first. Seeing that everyone was at a loss and trying to persuade them, Ji Tianqing said with a dignified expression, "The God-Beast Valley was attacked tonight and suffered heavy losses. It was caused by the traitor. Someone colluded with the enemy and betrayed the defenses of the God-Beast Valley. Therefore, the group of black-clothed people easily broke the Divine Beast Valley's defensive array. They rushed into the valley and started a massacre, opening the defensive formation and releasing hundreds of pet beasts. Otherwise, with the defensive strength of the God-Beast Valley, how could it have been destroyed and suffered such heavy losses in just a quarter of an hour?" Jin Zhong, Jiawen, and many core members fell silent and pondered with complicated expressions. They had to admit that Ji Tianqing was right. The God-Beast Valley was one of the Qi clan's painstaking efforts and was worth more than 1 billion divine stones. For more than 200 years, the Qi clan had built the God-Beast Valley into an impregnable fortress without any problems. But tonight, the God-Beast Valley was attacked and almost turned into ruins. Also, this matter was over in a quarter of an hour. Wasn't this too fast? If someone hadn't leaked the defenses of the God-Beast Valley, how could those men in black have been so successful? Thinking of this, everyone accepted Ji Tianqing's explanation. The more than 20 core members whispered to each other and secretly nodded in agreement. However, Jin Zhong and Jiawen looked at each other and communicated telepathically. They rejected this proposal at the same time. "Master, we believe in your judgment. There is probably a traitor in the Qi clan. If the traitor didn't leak the secrets, the God-Beast Valley wouldn't have suffered heavy losses. However, only the Master can deal with the traitor in person. Master, only the Master, the young Master, you, and the 5 deacons have access to the map of the God-Beast Valley. It's not that we want to obstruct this matter, nor is it because we are guilty. It's just that this matter is too important. Those who are qualified to be traitors must be dealt with by the Master himself. The 2 deacons objected, but Qi Tianhe remained silent as if this matter had nothing to do with him. Ji Tianqing's face was cold as he said in a dignified tone, because this matter is too important, I have to deal with it now. Otherwise, once the traitor escapes from the Qi family by tomorrow, who will be able to catch him? Jin Zhong and Jiaoan still wanted to refute. Ji Tianqing shouted coldly, without the Master and the young Master, who has the most power now? Tell me. The thunderous voice caused the entire hall to tremble. Everyone shrunk their necks. Jin Zhong and Jiaoan could only lower their heads and answer truthfully, of course it's you. Good. Ji Tianqing nodded and shouted coldly again, I want to deal with the traitor now. Who dares to question me? The whole hall was silent. No one dared to speak. Ji Tianqing was very satisfied and ordered in a deep voice, Men. Arrest the 5th deacon, Qi Tianhe. As his voice fell, everyone raised their heads in unison and looked at him in horror. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. Qi Tianhe, who had been lowering his head in silence, also frowned and stared at him gloomily. Even the few guards at the entrance were stunned, not daring to move an inch. What are you waiting for? Are you deaf? Ji Tianqing glared at the guards at the door and shouted coldly. The guards' bodies stiffened, and they hurriedly entered the hall and walked towards Qi Tianhe. At this time, Qi Tianhe suddenly sneered and said, Deacon Tianqing, have you taken the wrong medicine? Are you crazy? I have never worried about the family business and am indifferent to wealth and fame. This is something everyone knows. But you slandered me in front of everyone and claimed that I am the traitor. Ha ha ha. Countless people in the city have heard that Deacon Tianqing is arrogant and domineering. You have been doing whatever you want because you are the young master. I didn't believe it before and was too lazy to care about these trivial matters. But now it seems that not only are you arrogant and domineering, but you are also doing whatever you want. You're simply spouting nonsense, vicious and vicious. End of chapter. Chapter 28-43. Qi Tianhe stared at Ji Tianqing with a cold smile on his face. Did everyone see it? This is our Qi family's consecrator. He relied on the family head and young family head's favor and became lawless. In order to prove that he has great power and to show off, he actually slandered me in public. How heartless is he? More than 20 core members were panicking and discussing. A few guards stopped in their tracks, not knowing if they should arrest Qi Tianhe. Jin Zhong and Jiaoan were also anxious, with beads of sweat on their foreheads. Both of them did not expect that when they were still having a discussion, everything was normal. When young Master Tianqing appeared, it immediately turned into this situation. He actually accused Qi Tianhe of being a traitor. To the Qi family, this was undoubtedly a bolt from the blue. Jin Zhong and Jiaoan's status was not high enough to handle this matter. Both of them could only plead for mercy and dissuade Ji Tianqing. Sir Consecrator, you can't just label someone as a traitor. That's right. The 5th deacon's character is obvious to everyone. Moreover, he is the family head's cousin. You should wait for the family head to return before you deal with this matter. Ji Tianqing looked at Qi Tianhe and sneered. He. Looks like you have been hiding very deeply. You actually deceived everyone. However, don't hoot in front of me. I will immediately expose your true colors and make you admit your guilt. Once this was said, Qi Tianhe's eyes narrowed, and a hint of fear flashed across his eyes. He sneered disdainfully on the surface, but he was quite vigilant in his heart. He thought to himself, what does this kid mean? Could it be that he has already caught my weakness? Impossible. I have been hiding for so many years, and even Qi Tianlong was deceived. He has only been in the Qi family for half a month, and he can already find evidence of my crimes? Impossible. He must be tricking me. Qi Tianhe regained his confidence and calmness. He sneered contemptuously. Sir Consecrator, how many days have you been in the Qi family? Why are you so eager to show off your power? I don't have any interaction with you. How did I offend you? You actually slandered me and slandered me as a traitor. You want to destroy me. Tonight, I must have an explanation to prove my innocence. Otherwise, I will definitely remonstrate with the clan head and ask the clan head to punish you, a sinner who has harmed the Qi clan. Ji Tianxing revealed a meaningful smile and said slowly, I know that no one believes that Qi Tianhe is the traitor. But now, I will let you all understand why he betrayed the Qi family. Hearing this, the hall immediately quieted down. Everyone stared at Ji Tianxing, waiting for his answer. Even Qi Tianhe was full of confidence as he looked at him with a cold smile. Ji Tianxing explained unhurriedly, at that time, Qi Tianhe and Qi Tianlong were the most outstanding young disciples of the Qi family and also the candidates for the family head. However, Qi Tianhe's talent and aptitude were slightly weaker than Qi Tianlong's. Later on, everyone knew that Qi Tianlong was chosen by the old patriarch to inherit the position of patriarch. Qi Tianhe, on the other hand, had failed in the fight for the position. He appeared to be disheartened and suffered a heavy blow. In order to lower the patriarch's wariness, he pretended not to care about the family business and development. He was obsessed with the cultivation of the divine Tao and spent most of his time in seclusion. When he was not in seclusion, he was indulging in pleasure and sensual pleasures. He even deliberately sent people to smear his own name and make his reputation bad. 30 years later, the Qi family grew and became even more prosperous. The patriarch also firmly grasped the power, and the Qi family was harmonious. At that time, the patriarch felt that Qi Tianhe was no longer a threat. Seeing that he had neglected himself, he could not bear it and made him the fifth deacon. From then on, Qi Tianhe began to plot revenge. He pretended to be obsessed with women and fell in love with the Lu family's third miss, acting out an enviable love. Then, he married the Lu family's third miss and established a relationship with the Lu family. In these years, he secretly interacted with the Lu family and used various methods to embezzle the Qi family's hundreds of millions of assets. Originally, he wanted to use the Lu family's power to gradually destroy the Qi family in 200 years. When the Qi family fell apart, he would replace it. However, in the fight for the profound light cave, the blood sword sect cooperated with the Lu family. I defeated all the opponents and obtained the profound light cave for the Qi family. Therefore, we offended the Lu family and the blood sword sect and will definitely suffer revenge. Qi Tianhe immediately saw the hope of revenge and found an opportunity. He and the Lu family agreed to borrow the power of the blood sword sect to give the Qi family a heavy blow. In these days, the patriarch, the young patriarch, and I are not here. The first deacon and second deacon are also guarding the profound light cave. In the entire Qi family, his status was the highest. Therefore, he began to act. Tonight, he took the defensive map of the God-Beast Valley and quietly left the Qi family. In a mountain in the southern suburbs, he gave the defensive map to the leader of the black-clothed men, a divine monarch expert from the blood sword sect. Then, Qi Tianhe quietly returned to the Qi family and waited for news. The divine monarch expert of the blood sword sect led more than 40 black-clothed experts to attack the God-Beast Valley. Everyone already knows what happened next. After saying this, Ji Tianxing quietly looked at Qi Tianhe with a cold smile. The hall was deathly silent. Jin Zhong, Jiaoan, and more than 20 core members were all dumbstruck. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines as they revealed expressions of disbelief. No one could believe that Ji Tianqing had figured out the ins and outs of the Qi family in just half a month. Moreover, what he said was logical, and his reasoning was clear. Instantly, everyone believed half of it. Their gazes towards Qi Tianhe also became complicated, with some alienation and disgust. Qi Tianhe suddenly panicked. However, he still maintained his calm and even led the applause. Clap. Clap clap. A burst of crisp applause sounded in the hall. Qi Tianhe said with a cold smile, "Wonderful. The story told by Lord Consecrator spans several decades and is very vivid. It's really wonderful." Jin Zhong, Jiaowen, and the core members all had dumbfounded expressions. How can you still be happy when others have already identified you as a traitor? You even led the applause and praised the story for being wonderful. Are you admitting that you are a traitor? At this time, the smile on Qi Tianhe's face disappeared as he shouted coldly, "But, Lord Consecrator, you can't just casually make up a story to slander me. Even if you make it sound extravagant, you have no evidence. If you can't produce evidence, then you are just making things up and slandering me. You and I are irreconcilable. I will let the Patriarch punish you severely." The two deacons and the core members immediately came to their senses as their gazes fell on Ji Tianqing. That's right. No matter how realistic his story was, there had to be evidence. Ji Tianqing revealed a confident smile as he slowly took out a spatial ring. He. Qi Tianhe, you really won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Since that's the case, I will let you die with a clear understanding. Chapter 2844. Ji Tianqing was so confident. The atmosphere in the hall immediately became tense. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the spatial ring in his hand. Even Qi Tianhe was calm on the surface, but he was panicking inside. He vaguely felt that the situation was not good. Damn bastard. Did he really find some evidence? Thinking of this, he secretly clenched his fists in his sleeves. At the same time, Ji Tianqing took out a translucent jade slip from the spatial ring. It was a palm-wide, foot-long jade slip with special symbols engraved on it. The deacons and the core members of the Qi family could tell at a glance that it was the Qi family's special insignia. Ji Tianqing held the jade slip in his hand and showed it to everyone. This spatial ring came from the leader of the black-robed men, the divine lord of the Blood Sword sect. I found this jade slip in the ring. And this jade slip recorded the layout of the Divine Beast Valley's defenses, as well as the method to open the array. Originally, the jade slip was hidden in the secret treasury of the Patriarch. But Qi Tianhe had ulterior motives and had been planning for a long time. He took advantage of the Patriarch's absence to steal it. Then, he took the jade slip to a secret location in the southern suburbs and gave it to the Divine Lord of the Blood Sword sect. He is the culprit behind the destruction of the God Beast Valley. Ji Tianqing's tone was dignified and contained a resolute and unquestionable domineering aura. Qi Tianhe's face immediately became angry and he shouted with grief and indignation, "Nonsense! You're slandering me! You're slandering me!" Ji Tianqing ignored him and secretly used his spiritual energy to suppress him, causing him to feel dizzy and unable to speak. He continued, Qi Tianhe made a deal with the Lu family and the Blood Sword sect to overthrow the Qi family. After they succeeded, the Blood Sword sect would obtain the Profound Light Cave and the Lu family would divide a portion of the Qi family's assets and businesses. Qi Tianhe would become the Patriarch and join the Blood Sword sect, becoming their lackey. The expressions of the two deacons and the 20 or so backbones changed dramatically once again. Their faces were filled with astonishment. Many people felt a chill run down their spines as they glared at Qi Tianhe with deep hatred. Qi Tianhe's methods were too vicious and ruthless. Being stared at by more than 20 sharp gazes, Qi Tianhe was so angry that his entire body trembled, but he could not make a sound. He tried his best, but could only shout hoarsely, "No, it's not like that." Ji Tianqing still ignored him and shouted to the door, "Bai Long, show me the evidence." Following his words, Bai Long stepped into the hall with a jade plate in his hands. He walked in front of Ji Tianqing, holding the jade plate with both hands, and bowed as he presented it. Reporting to Master, this is something disciple just found in the 5th deacon's residence. Everyone's gazes landed on the 2-foot-long jade plate. Inside, there was a set of black clothes, a dozen jade slips, and a few special tokens. Ji Tianqing held up the jade plate and showed it to everyone. He said in a cold voice, "This is the black clothes Qi Tianhe wore tonight." These jade slips recorded all the accounts of the Qi family's assets that he secretly embezzled over the past few decades, as well as the records of his transactions with the Lu family. These special tokens were used to prove his identity when he secretly contacted the Lu family and the Blood Sword sect. After speaking, Ji Tianqing threw the jade plate to Bai Long. His gaze was as sharp as a sword, and he glared at Qi Tianhe as he shouted, "Qi Tianhe. Now that there are witnesses and evidence, how are you going to deny it? I will now impartially execute the law and kill you in front of everyone to punish the traitor." Qi Tianhe had been listening to him slander in front of everyone, and he had even taken out all kinds of evidence to support it. He was so angry that his face was ashen, and his entire body was trembling. Unfortunately, he was suppressed by Ji Tianqing's power and could not defend himself. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. At this time, Ji Tianqing suddenly withdrew his power. Qi Tianhe was no longer restrained. He immediately opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He roared at the top of his lungs, "Bullshit! You are slandering me! How dare you frame me? I don't know any of those bullshit tokens. You deliberately framed me. And those transaction bills, you also forged them. Who would be stupid enough to leave the bills at their residence? And leave the black clothes in their room? I put them in my ring and carry them with me. You are slandering me and distorting the truth. Do you think everyone is a fool?" Qi Tianhe shouted with hatred. His voice was like a bell, and his roar shook the heavens and the earth, causing the entire hall to shake. After this violent and hearty scolding, the anger in his heart was vented, and his emotions gradually calmed down. Then, he found that everyone in the hall was dumbfounded. Jin Zhong, Jiaowen, and more than 20 core members were staring at him, dumbfounded. Their expressions and eyes were extremely strange. Even Ji Tianqing and Bai Long looked at him with pity. Qi Tianhe felt that something was wrong. When he recalled what he had just said, he was instantly stunned. His body stiffened, and his expression froze. His right hand subconsciously retracted into his sleeve, wanting to take off his infinite space ring. Clap! Clap clap! At this time, Ji Tianqing suddenly clapped his hands. The crisp applause echoed in the hall. It was like a slap on Qi Tianhe's face again and again. Ji Tianqing looked at him with a smile and gave him a thumbs up. He said, "Qi Tianhe, you are really a man. You dare to admit what you have done. Everyone heard it just now, right? Qi Tianhe has already admitted his crime. The transaction bills and the black clothes are all hidden in his infinite space ring." No one answered. The hall was silent. However, the 2 deacons and more than 20 core members were full of hostility toward Qi Tianhe. They stared at him with hatred. Qi Tianhe was completely dumbfounded. He felt his body stiffen, and his hands and feet were cold. Ji Tianqing reached out and picked up the jade plate. He threw it on the ground and sneered. "Qi Tianhe, you guessed right. I forged these. The black clothes and the token were all found randomly. The dozens of jade slips were also blank. There was no record at all. Bai Long didn't even go to your residence. You carried the evidence of your crime with you and hid it very well. I have only been in the Qi family for half a month. How could I find evidence of your crime? After listening to Ji Tianqing's words, everyone felt a chill down their spines. Fear grew in their hearts. Everyone then understood. It turned out that Deacon Tianqing and Bai Long had put on a show to trick Qi Tianhe. However, their acting was too realistic. Not only did everyone not see through it, but even Qi Tianhe was stunned. That was why he fell for it. After all, everyone only knew that Ji Tianqing was powerful and ruthless. They did not know anything else. Qi Tianhe was also afraid that Ji Tianqing would distort the truth and directly kill him with a sword. Then he would have died too unjustly. That was why the situation had turned out like this. But no matter what, Qi Tianhe had already lost. He had lost completely. End of chapter. Chapter 28:45. The hall was dead silent. The atmosphere was stifling as if it had frozen. The two deacons and the other backbones were afraid of Ji Tianqing's schemes. They also hated Qi Tianhe's despicable and insidious ways. No one dared to look at Ji Tianqing. They could only glare at Qi Tianhe to vent their anger and hatred with their eyes. Qi Tianhe finally came back to his senses. He was extremely upset and blamed himself, but he was not reconciled to this. He pointed at Ji Tianqing and roared at the crowd, "Why are you looking at me like that? It's this bastard who is slandering me. You heard it just now. He has no evidence at all. Those are all fake. Are you blind? Or are you deaf? I'm not guilty. He's framing me." Qi Tianhe roared with a ferocious face and tried to defend himself. However, everyone's gazes towards him became colder and colder, and even revealed a strong sense of contempt and disdain. Qi Tianhe was about to go crazy. He glared at the crowd and tried to defend himself. "What do you mean? I've been in the Qi family for hundreds of years. Why don't you believe me? This bastard has only been here for half a month. How can you believe him? He's a spy. He's deliberately destroying the stability of the Qi family. He's the one who has ulterior motives and wants to destroy the Qi family." However, no matter how Qi Tianhe framed and slandered Ji Tianqing, the crowd remained unmoved. Ji Tianqing sat at the head of the table and watched his performance with a smile. He had no intention of stopping him. Bai Long could not stand it anymore. He shook his head in disdain and said, "Qi Tianhe, put away your clumsy performance. It's so embarrassing. Confess honestly and you might be able to keep your life. Don't show off your pitiful intelligence." Qi Tianhe was furious. He stared at him with bloodshot eyes and roared, "Shut up. Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that?" Bai Long narrowed his eyes. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he sneered, "Qi Tianhe, you're finished." Qi Tianhe was even more furious and wanted to scold him again. At this time, Jin Zhong and Jiaowen had to say something. "Enough. Fifth Deacon, shut up." The two of them coldly cried out at the same time, causing the entire place to quiet down. Jin Zhong said expressionlessly, "Fifth Deacon, you have admitted your crime in public. There is nothing to say." Jiaowen also said with a cold expression, "Fifth Deacon, the family head has treated you well, and the Qi family has not done anything wrong to you. Why did you collude with the enemy and plot against the Qi clan? Why did you commit such a heinous crime? Now that things have come to this, why don't you kneel down and admit your mistake? How long are you going to persist in your wrong ways?" Qi Tianhe was stunned for a moment, then he looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha. I understand now. The two of you are in cahoots with the consecrator. You have been bought over by him long ago. I refuse to accept this." Just the few of you are not qualified to convict me. Jin Zhong, Jiaoan, and more than 20 backbones all looked at Ji Tianqing. Among those present, Ji Tianqing had the highest status. It was up to him to decide how to deal with this matter. Jin Zhong cupped his hands in salute and said, "Sir Consecrator, this matter will be handled by you. We have no objections. However, I still suggest that you wait for the family head to return." Without waiting for him to finish, Ji Tianqing waved his hand and interrupted him. He sneered and said, "There's no need to wait. It's a waste of time." As he said that, a destructive aura burst out from his body. It was as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him, pressing down on Qi Tianhe. Qi Tianhe's legs suddenly went soft, and he knelt down in the hall with a thud. His body was bent, and his head was buried deep in his chest. His entire body was trembling violently. He refused to admit defeat and struggled with all his might. He wanted to raise his head and stand up. However, Ji Tianqing's aura was all concentrated on him. He was suppressed to the point that he could not move. Blood flowed from his mouth and nose, and the skin on his body was constantly cracking. Ah! Qi Tianhe roared in anger and pain. His voice was hoarse as he roared, "You bastard! I am the family head's brother. You have no right to punish me. Don't forget, you are just a dog raised by the Qi family." Ji Tianqing's face became even more gloomy. He stood up and walked in front of Qi Tianhe. He took out a token and handed it to him. "Qi Tianhe, take a good look at what this is." Qi Tianhe tried hard to raise his head. He only took one look at the token, and his expression changed drastically. The young master's token. Jin Zhong, Jiaoan, and more than 20 core members also recognized the token. It was Qi Huanji's young master's token. This token represented that the young master was here in person, and he could make all the decisions. Other than the family head, Qi Tianlong, no one else could go against him. After a moment of shock, everyone bowed in unison and said, "We will obey the honorable master's orders." Qi Tianhe's eyes widened, revealing a look of deep shock and despair. However, he was still unwilling to give up. He roared, "How could Qi Huanji's young master's token be in your hands? You must have forged this young master's token. You must have murdered the young master and taken the young master's token." Ji Tianqing put away the young master's token and sneered. He. You are about to die, but you are still so stubborn. You still want to bite me? You are too naive. Then, he slowly lifted his right foot and stomped on Qi Tianhe's head. Bam! With a muffled thud, Qi Tianhe was trampled under his feet and prostrated on the ground. The ground of the entire hall trembled violently from the impact, and a crack appeared in the ground. Qi Tianhe was bleeding from all 7 orifices, and his entire body was trembling. He was humiliated to the extreme, and the anger in his chest was about to explode. Tears of blood flowed out of his eyes. Ji Tianqing took out the sword of burial of heaven and shouted angrily, "According to the Qi family's rules, those who collude with foreign enemies and betray the family will be beheaded in public, and their names will be erased from the family tree. Tonight, the family head is not here, so I will execute the punishment on behalf of the young master." Then, he raised the sword of burial of heaven and slashed it toward Qi Tianhe's neck. Arg! Qi Tianhe roared like a madman. "Bastard! How dare you kill me? I am a disciple of the Qi family, the family head's cousin, and you are an outsider. You have no right to." However, before Qi Tianhe could finish his words, he stopped abruptly. Poof! A cold light bloomed, and crimson-red blood splattered. Qi Tianhe's head was separated from his body, and he no longer made a sound. Blood spilled in the hall and dyed the ground red. The few backbones nearby subconsciously took 2 steps back, and they were so frightened that their bodies trembled. This young honorary master's methods were too ruthless, and his actions were too decisive. Then, the hall was dead silent. Everyone lowered their heads, and they did not dare to look at Ji Tianqing. Qi Tianhe's corpse lay quietly on the ground, and his eyes were still wide open, unwilling to close in peace. Ji Tianqing held the sword of burial of heaven and pierced it into his head, picking out a colorful godhead. He used a secret technique to seal the godhead, and put it into the space ring. Then, he announced in a dignified tone, "The traitor has been eliminated, and his accomplices will also be caught and punished according to the family rules. This matter will be handled by Jin Zhong. The rebuilding of the Divine Beast Valley and the search for the escaped Divine Beasts will be supervised by Jiaowen personally. As for Qi Tianhe's godhead, I will hand it over to the family head for him to deal with." End of chapter. Chapter 2846. Dealing with the traitor was a long story. But in fact, Ji Tianqing only used an hour to deal with it. When he announced the end of the meeting, dawn had arrived and the sky was slightly brighter. Jin Zhong, Jiaowen, and more than 20 Qi family members walked out of the meeting hall, still feeling like they were in a dream. What happened just now was too shocking for them. Many of them were still in a daze. No one had expected Reverend Tianqing's schemes and methods to be so unfathomable. His way of doing things was too ruthless and decisive, which made people terrified. Of course, Qi Tianhe was a traitor. This matter shocked everyone and they found it hard to believe. It even overturned their centuries-old impression. Everyone sighed in their hearts. The seemingly unambitious and frivolous Qi Tianhe actually betrayed the Qi family and even wanted to destroy it. And the seemingly outsider Tianqing who had just joined the Qi family half a month ago was the hero who saved the Qi family. This was simply too ironic. Human nature was really complicated. When the sun rose, in the Hall of Offerings, Ji Tianqing sat in the study with his eyes closed, waiting patiently. At this moment, Bai Long stepped into the study and reported the situation. "Master, Deacon Jin Zhong has sealed off the southern courtyard and started investigating Qi Tianhe's accomplices. He found a lot of evidence in Qi Tianhe's residence." Deacon Jiaowen also rushed to the Divine Beast Valley in the southern part of the city with hundreds of guards to carry out the mission. What happened last night has spread throughout the Qi family. Now, everyone is talking about it and is extremely respectful to you. Ji Tianqing nodded slightly, indicating that he already knew. Bai Long was a little angry and snorted coldly. "Those Qi family members don't know what's good for them. Master, you found the traitor and protected the Qi family's wealth and glory. It's fine if those people are not grateful, but they are actually talking behind your back, saying that you are ruthless and merciless like the god of death. They are very afraid of you." Ji Tianqing smiled faintly and said with an indifferent tone, "Why do I need their understanding and gratitude for my actions? Moreover, we're only staying here temporarily and won't be staying for long. Why should we care about their opinions?" Hearing this, Bai Long frowned and asked, "Master, are you planning to leave Qingshan City?" Ji Tianqing nodded and said, "This is inevitable, but not now." "When was that?" White Dragon asked. Ji Tianqing revealed a meaningful smile and said, "Of course, we have to wait until the right time." The White Dragon was stunned for a moment and did not pursue the matter any further. He had always had doubts in his heart. Now that he had nothing to do, he asked curiously, "Master, you didn't have any interaction with Qi Tianhe before, and you didn't mention the traitor. Why did you bring up this matter last night and resolve it so quickly? How do you know that Qi Tianhe is colluding with the Lu clan and the Blood Sword sect?" He even described the process of their collusion clearly and vividly. Ji Tianqing glanced at him and chuckled. "Before last night, I didn't know that there was a traitor in the Qi family. However, I found that someone escaped in the middle of the night with ghostly traces. So, I followed that person to the southern suburbs and secretly watched their transaction. At that time, I suspected that there was a traitor in the Qi family, so I remembered that person's body shape, characteristics, and aura. Bai Long suddenly understood and nodded. I see. So when you returned to the Qi residence and saw Qi Tianhe, you knew that he was a traitor. Qi Tianqing nodded and then explained, after that, I went to the Divine Beast Valley and personally killed the black-robed men, injuring the black-robed divine monarch of the Blood Sword sect. The black-robed divine monarch was seriously injured and left his ring on the battlefield. After I got the ring, I found a way to open it and found the defensive layout of the Divine Beast Valley. When I returned to the Qi residence, I recognized that Qi Tianhe was the traitor. Combining his life experience and the identity of his wife, I made up a self-justifying and plausible explanation. Bai Long was stunned. Ah! When you were in the main hall, you spoke so much eloquently. You exposed Qi Tianhe's experience, psychology, and conspiracy clearly. Not only did those deacons and backbones believe it, but even I thought it was true. I didn't expect you to make it up casually. Qi Tianqing nodded and smiled. I'm not an omnipotent god, so how could I know everything about Qi Tianhe? Moreover, time was tight, so I was too lazy to collect evidence. So, I made up a half-true and half-false story. As long as everyone thinks it's true, it's enough. Bai Long suddenly understood and continued, everyone was prejudiced by first impressions and was intimidated by your aura, so they thought that Qi Tianhe was the traitor. But Qi Tianhe knew that you were only half right, and the rest was fabricated and slandered. He was very angry and eager to defend himself, but he couldn't refute your suppression. After you finished speaking, you withdrew your pressure. Qi Tianhe suddenly regained his freedom and vented his anger without any scruples, only wanting to defend himself. But he was too agitated and didn't calm down enough, so he let it slip in front of everyone. In this way, he confessed without being pressed and would be doomed eternally. Qi Tianqing nodded and smiled. That's right. Bai Long held his stomach and laughed, full of admiration. Master! You're simply too awesome. You played Qi Tianhe in the palm of your hand and easily crushed his IQ. That guy endured for hundreds of years and finally got the chance to usurp the throne, but you destroyed it instantly. Now that I think about it, that guy is really pitiful. Qi Tianqing said indifferently, a pitiful person must have something hateful. Bai Long hesitated and asked, Master, time was tight last night, so you used this trick. Actually, there was still a risk to this brilliant plan. What if Qi Tianhe was astute and calm enough and didn't reveal any flaws? How do you plan to deal with it? Qi Tianqing waved his hand and replied indifferently, then don't talk nonsense with him, just kill him directly. Anyway, my position is the highest and I'm the strongest. No one will dare to stop me if I kill him in front of everyone. As for the evidence, I'll just send people to collect it later. Bai Long pinched his chin with his right hand and chuckled. Master is domineering enough. Qi Tianhe will die if he meets you. There's no way he can escape. Qi Tianqing nodded slightly and ordered, let's not talk about this anymore. Enter the God Pagoda now. Master will personally go to the Profound Light Cave. Since the Blood Sword sect has already made a move on the God Beast Valley, they won't let go of the Profound Light Cave. If Master's guess is right, the Profound Light Cave will soon be in trouble. Bai Long thought for a moment and nodded repeatedly. Yes, Master's foresight is truly amazing. The Lu family and the Blood Sword sect colluded to deal with the Qi family. They could have split into two groups and acted at the same time. Let's hurry to the Profound Light Cave and hope to prevent the tragedy from happening. Chapter 2847. After White Dragon entered the Divine Tower, Qi Tianqing left the Qi estate. The God Beast Valley had just been attacked, so the Qi estate situation was a bit chaotic. Logically speaking, Qi Tianqing had to stay in the Qi estate to stabilize the situation. However, he was sure that the Lu family, Blood Sword sect, and the City Lord's estate would not attack the God Beast Valley again. Nor would they attack the Qi estate directly. Fighting in the city and attacking a noble family was defying the laws of the divine nation. The blood sword sect, the Lu family, and the city lord's estate were not that crazy. Therefore, the Qi estate and the God Beast Valley were safe for the time being. Only the profound light cave and the setting sun sea region hundreds of thousands of miles away were the most dangerous. When Ji Tianqing left the Qi estate, he used the Armillary Heaven's secret technique to conceal himself and hide his aura. No one knew that he had left. The people of the Qi estate all thought that he was cultivating in seclusion in the Venerate court. Moreover, the Qi family was very respectful of him and did not dare to disturb him in the Venerate court. After a while, Ji Tianqing left Azure Mountain City. He flew high into the sky and rushed north at his fastest speed, heading straight for the setting sun sea region. Late in the morning. On an island not far from the profound light cave in the setting sun sea region. A black-robed old man nearly 3 meters tall with a thin face was standing on a pitch-black reef. Although he wore a mask and a bamboo hat, a gray-white goatee could still be seen. The deep eyes under the mask stared at the sea in the east, waiting quietly. There was a blurry shadow at the end of the sea. It was the island where the profound light cave was located. Beside the black-robed old man stood a tall and handsome young man. This person was also wearing a pitch-black robe and a silver mask that covered his true face. There was a dark red mark on the forehead of the mask. It was a blood-red sword filled with a baleful aura. An old man and a young man stood side by side, looking at the profound light cave in the distance. Behind the two stood 8 black-robed experts, all of whom were at the 6th or 7th level of the heavenly god realm. At this time, the young man opened his mouth and said, "For an elder sure, when our people evacuated the profound light cave, didn't we tamper with a few things and leave some hidden dangers? Why is it that after such a long time, nothing has happened in the profound light cave, and the Qi family is still mining the ore vein as usual?" The black-robed old man called Consecrator Shur stroked his goatee and said in a deep voice, "Young city lord, you're not the only one who is puzzled. Logically speaking, the hidden dangers in the profound light cave should have erupted long ago. The Qi family will suffer at least a few hundred casualties. They won't be able to continue mining, so they can only ask for our help. That way, we can negotiate with the Qi family and take the initiative." Unfortunately, everything was normal in the Cave of Profound Light, and nothing unexpected happened. This old man suspects that the Qi family has an expert helping them, pointing out the right path and removing the hidden danger long ago. It was obvious. These two people were the City Lord's mansion's Consecrator Shur and the young City Lord Yuanjie. However, both of them and the guards behind them had covered their faces and disguised themselves as members of the Blood Sword sect. Yuanjie pondered for a moment and asked, "What kind of expert can the Qi family have? Could it be that the Ning family of the Sky Snow County City sent an expert to help?" Consecrator Shur thought for a moment and nodded slightly. "That's the only possibility. However, we've been monitoring the Qi family and didn't notice the arrival of the Ning family. This matter is very strange. This old man suspects that the consecrator of the Qi family." Before he could finish, Yuanjie's expression changed, and deep hatred surged out of his eyes. "Impossible. The consecrator of the Qi family is just a brat who hasn't even reached the divine monarch realm. What ability does he have? How could he remove the hidden danger in the profound light cave?" Ever since Yuanjie lost to Ji Tianqing, he had been living in humiliation, and his temper had become much more irritable. He hated Ji Tianqing to the bone and would never admit that Ji Tianqing was stronger than him. Consecrator Shur understood his thoughts and didn't say anything, quickly changing the topic. "Young city lord, you don't have to worry about the previous matter. It doesn't matter that the hidden danger has been removed. This old man sneaked into the profound light cave last night and already buried more than 30 divine light bombs. That group of elite guards just now have already sneaked into Profound Light Island and will detonate those bombs soon. You just wait and see." The profound light cave is about to collapse, and several or veins will be destroyed. At that time, not only will the Qi family suffer heavy casualties, the profound light cave will also fall into chaos. Yuan Jie's anger subsided a little, and he said with a cold smile, "That's good. The Qi family's people are too rampant. They must be taught a bitter lesson. After the profound light cave is blown up, we'll take the opportunity to kill our way in, kill all the Qi family's people, and take back the profound light cave." But what's a little troublesome is that the profound light cave has been destroyed. If we want to continue mining the ore veins, we'll have to spend a lot of time and effort to clear them out. Hearing this, Consecrator Shi couldn't help frowning. He waved his hand and explained, "Young City Lord, we're only responsible for destroying the profound light cave and giving the Qi family a heavy blow. We absolutely can't slaughter the Qi family's people, and we can't take over the profound light cave now. Don't forget that we're now disguised as the Blood Sword Sect's people. Once we take over the profound light cave, we have to use the name of the Blood Sword Sect. Isn't that working for the Blood Sword Sect?" Yuan Jie quickly shook his head and said, "How can that be? We'll put in effort and manpower. How can we let the Blood Sword Sect take advantage of us?" Consecrator Shi nodded and said, "That's right. Since we can't use the name of the Blood Sword Sect, we have to use the banner of the City Lord's mansion. But in this way, won't we be admitting to the world that it was the City Lord's mansion that destroyed the profound light cave and the Qi family? The City Lord's mansion will become the target of public criticism, and may even be punished by the laws of the Divine Empire and turned into ashes." Yuan Jie frowned and asked in a deep voice, "Then what should we do?" "After destroying the profound light cave, we withdraw from this place and watch with folded arms." Consecrator Shi nodded slightly and said, "Of course. The City Lord has secretly formed an alliance with the Blood Sword Sect and the Lu family. We'll carry out the first step of the plan, disguise ourselves as the Blood Sword Sect's people, destroy the profound light cave, and create chaos. The second step is for the experts of the Blood Sword Sect and the Lu family to kill the guards and craftsmen of the Qi family and occupy the profound light cave. The third step is for the City Lord's mansion and the Lu family to join hands and send out craftsmen, miners, and guards to jointly mine the profound light cave. The Blood Sword Sect wants 60% of the profits, while the Lu family and we each get 20%. Of course, the duration of this agreement is only 10 years. Hearing this, Yuan Jie immediately frowned, his expression turning grave. "Father, when did you form an alliance with them to discuss this matter? Why am I completely unaware?" Consecrator Shi smiled and said, "Just a few days ago. At that time, you were cultivating in seclusion." Yuan Jie didn't pursue the matter and continued to ask, "You mean that in this plan, we'll be responsible for destroying the profound light cave and providing the mining technology and craftsmen? The Lu family will be responsible for providing manpower, including guards and miners, and the Blood Sword Sect won't participate in the mining process and will only be the scapegoat, but will get 60% of the profits?" Chapter 28:48. Consecrator Shi was silent for a moment before he nodded in agreement. "That's right. That's roughly what you mean." Yuan Jie was not stupid. After learning about the agreement between the three parties, he understood the reason. Our City Lord's mansion has the technology to mine ore veins, as well as our understanding of the profound light cave. This is our bargaining chip. Although the Lu family did not have much ability, they could provide a lot of manpower. Moreover, they're the middlemen who can form an alliance with the Blood Sword Sect. However, the status of our families is not high enough for us to show our faces in public. That's because we can't withstand the punishment of public opinion and the laws of the Kingdom of God. The Blood Sword Sect, on the other hand, was most suited for such dirty work. Even if the Qi family and the other aristocratic families knew that the Blood Sword Sect was behind this, there was nothing they could do about it. After all, the Blood Sword Sect has a very high status in the divine nation. They have the confidence to dissolve the sanctions of the divine nation's laws and suppress public opinion. Consecrator Shi hurriedly nodded his head and said with a gratified expression, "Young city lord is indeed intelligent. If the city lord knows about this, he will definitely be very pleased." Yuan Jie was still a bit worried. "Venerable Shi, you also know that the Blood Sword sect openly slaughtered a noble family and seized their assets. This is a serious violation of the divine nation's laws. This kind of thing could be big or small. If the remnants of the Qi clan were to climb up to the Ning clan of Tianshui County and go to the capital to complain, even if the Blood Sword sect is one of the 6 great sects, I'm afraid that they won't be able to withstand the punishment of the divine nation and resolve the wrath of the monarch." Consecrator Shi gently shook his head and sent a voice transmission, "Young city lord, you don't have to worry about this matter. The 4th elder of the Blood Sword sect revealed a secret to the city lord. Just 2 years ago, the Blood Sword sect had already climbed up to the royal family and submitted to a noble and important figure. Since the Blood Sword sect dared to do this, it meant that they had enough confidence. Even if the remnants of the Qi clan go to the capital to complain, this matter will still be left unsettled." After saying that, Consecrator Shi revealed a meaningful smile on his face. Yuan Jie stared blankly for a moment, then came to a realization, and a big smile appeared on his face. "I see. Then I'm relieved." Consecrator Shi nodded and said with a smile, "So, let's wait and watch the show." As soon as he finished speaking, the crowd fell silent. At the eastern end of the sea, the blurry black shadow suddenly shook a few times. Then, an earth-shattering rumble sounded from 30,000 miles away. Yuan Jie and Consecrator Shi both saw that the profound light island trembled violently a few times, bursting with divine flames that soared into the sky. Moreover, huge waves that were thousands of feet high were also stirred up in the eastern sea, and they were spreading at an extremely fast speed. He. Success. Consecrator Shi sneered complacently. Yuan Jie also clenched his fists and nodded. The show is about to begin. The two of them waited expectantly. About half an hour later, a group of black shadows flew out from the bottom of the ocean and landed on the rocks by the shore. There were a total of 12 elite experts. They were all dressed in black and wore masks. There was a blood sword symbol on their foreheads. Everyone bowed in unison and reported to Chief Shi, "Reporting to my lord, the mission has been successfully completed." Consecrator Shi nodded in satisfaction and said, "Very good. When we return, this old man will reward you heavily." After he finished speaking, a black-clothed expert stepped out, took out a broken 5-colored crystal, and presented it in front of Chief Shi. "Reporting to my lord, after the profound light cave was destroyed, this subordinate found this crystal near the 9th mine." Chief Shi took the 5-colored crystal and examined it in his palm. This broken crystal was only the size of a walnut, but it was crystal clear and flashed with a 5-colored divine light. It contained an extremely majestic divine power that was dozens of times more than ordinary divine stones. Chief Shi immediately narrowed his eyes and revealed a shocked expression. He exclaimed in a low voice, "This is a divine crystal. This is a divine crystal that is 100 times more valuable than divine stones. A divine crystal contains 100 times more power than a divine stone. Moreover, divine crystals are even purer and have a unique advantage. The divine power inside can be directly refined. Not only that, divine crystals have hundreds of effects, such as healing, cultivation, setting up formations, refining." Yuan Jie also stared at the divine crystal with a burning gaze and said excitedly, "The power and effect of divine crystals far surpasses divine stones. Logically speaking, a divine crystal is worth 100 divine stones. But in fact, divine crystals are very rare and difficult to circulate in the market. Even 500 divine stones couldn't buy a single divine crystal. Only the top nobles and powerhouses are qualified to use divine crystals as currency and cultivation resources. In fact, Yuan Jie owned a divine crystal. It was a birthday gift from the city lord. He had been treasuring it and occasionally took it out to play with. According to the city lord, when he was studying and cultivating in the capital, he made a few noble friends. He spent 30,000 divine stones to buy a few divine crystals from one of his friends. And this was because they had a good relationship that the other party was willing to trade with him. If it were others, even if they offered a higher price, the other party would not be willing to sell. Chief Shi held the broken divine crystal and asked in a low voice, "You found this divine crystal near the 9th mine? There's a divine crystal in the profound light cave. Why didn't we find it before? What's going on?" The black-clothed expert hurriedly explained, "Reporting to my lord, after the 9th mine was blown up, gravel and slag burst out. This divine crystal was mixed in with the gravel. I saw that this divine crystal was dazzling and full of divine energy. It must be extraordinary, so I brought it back for you." Chief Shi's eyes widened, and his goatee trembled with excitement. "So, doesn't that mean there's a lot of divine crystals hidden in the 9th mine? And, there's a divine crystal mine under the 9th mine?" Hearing this, Yuan Jie's breathing quickened, and his face turned red. A divine crystal mine. Oh my God! If that's true, how many divine crystals would it produce? Chief Shi turned to look at him and said in a low voice, "Even if it's just a small mine, it can produce millions of divine crystals." What kind of astonishing wealth was that? "Congratulations, young city lord, we're going to have a meteoric rise." Yuan Jie was even more excited. His blood was boiling, and he even felt unbearably hot. Ha ha ha. If we can have millions of divine crystals, we can become a top noble family. At that time, not to mention Green Mountain City, we can even become the lord of Tianfeng City. In Yuan Jie's mind, the image of divine crystals piling up like a mountain appeared. He even fantasized about becoming a top noble family and controlling the entire Tianfeng City. However, Chief Shi was a wily old fox, and his temperament was even steadier. He quickly calmed down and persuaded, "Young city lord, this is just this old man's speculation. We can't be happy too early. We'll only know the details after the Blood Sword sect takes over the profound light cave. Moreover, we're an alliance of 3 forces, led by the Blood Sword sect. Even if there's a divine crystal mine in the profound light cave, we can't take it all for ourselves. Most of it will have to be given to the Blood Sword sect." End of chapter. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.